Less than 30 seconds now in regulation. Could this take extra time? 16 seconds. Here's Dial. Send it up at the point, J. Lalu. Tall midget now, but Matt, 6 seconds, 5, Dalfan coming out. He gets around him, 2 seconds. He's got to do it quick. Choose the scores, 1 second left.
And we are live, officially with the week 2 of season 20 Faceoff. I'm here with none other than Tony Flo, and we're joined by somebody pretty cool, pretty special this
guest.
Week. Yep, special guest. Has never been on the Faceoff with us before, to my knowledge. Paco, how you doing?
Wow, what an honor, guys. I mean, I'm just glad to be here before Crab, so.
Has Crab been on a Face-Off before? I feel like we've definitely had Crab on here at one point. But maybe it was with me and Dig Dug, so it might have been a long time ago. I don't know.
Did he have an interview?
That is a good question. I honestly don't
with
know.
Kiwi, no?
He was definitely on the short list of people that I wanted to interview. I just don't know if I ever got to him. So yeah, it's a good question, but yeah. I mean, I should probably remember, so it's a little sad that I don't, but that's okay. That's all right. Who cares? The most important one was the GK interview, as everyone's aware. So anyway, yeah, rip GK. Also fuck GK. We will not be talking about the CHL, Austin. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not gonna come up this week. I did hear Lucic's team got booted out though.
Yeah, bad attendance or something.
I heard they were disqualified. The pedophiles or something. The NA pedophiles.
I think they changed the name. I don't know though. I wasn't really following too close.
Yeah. Why would they name their team that? That is horrible.
Well, that's Lucic for you. I mean, are you really surprised?
Paco probably doesn't know Lucic too well.
Yeah, well, you know, is that?
No, he's the kind of guy who would name his team the Pedophiles.
Interesting.
Yeah, no comment there. No comment on that one. Nova would like to know if this is Scrim Paco or Game Paco that we have on the broadcast tonight.
Hopefully it's Scrim Paco, because as we all know, Game Paco kind of sucks. So.
Well, we'll get into that more when we take a look at your performance in depth this past week. So.
Oh boy.
Okay, so let's get right into it. We'll quickly run through the scores from this past week. There were a couple more exciting games in the last week than there were during week 1 of the LHL, so we'll get into some of the more spicy results a little bit before we start reviewing each of the teams on an individual basis, then get into our predictions, and we'll briefly check in and see how things are going with the Sunday Night League. The dominance of Payne so far, he's doing quite well, leading the league in points. So we'll get into that a little bit and see what other topics come up on the way. So as always, if you guys have any questions, please type them out in chat. We will force Paco to answer them at gunpoint, all of them. Not allowed to skate by on anything, Paco, so keep that in mind.
Beautiful. By the way, Kiwi, it's balding Paco, still not bald. Continue.
You're not bald yet?
Not yet. I'm just waiting.
You're just gonna shave it off entirely at some point then? Is that?
Yeah, that's the plan with me and Kiwi. Like, we both have pretty bad hairlines.
I thought Kiwi's was looking good.
Nah, if we want to pull out a pic on the stream, that'd be great for him. But yeah, it's coming soon.
Sucks.
Coming.
The only picks we have right now are spicy Eric VM Spider-Man picks. So, but those are gonna have to wait till the after show. Those are a little too.
Those are the late night.
Yeah, those are a little too raunchy for this family-friendly time slot we have here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's run through the games real quick. I'm gonna go one day at a time. We'll sort of chat about them along the way. So. Last week on Tuesday, in order of the games that were played, we had a 6-0 win for New Jersey over Colorado, 4-1 for Toronto over Seattle, 2-1 victory for Boston over LA, 5-3 Toronto over New Jersey, 3-2 overtime Seattle over LA, and 6-3 Colorado over Boston. So I think you guys would both agree with me as far as the Tuesday games go as to which ones stood out the most. Definitely the two Toronto games and also the New Jersey Colorado games. So really following through New Jersey and Toronto from Tuesday. Tony, I have to throw it to you here. You said and you predicted that the 4-0 could come out for Toronto last week, and it did. And they kicked it off by first beating your team,
Hmm.
4-1, and then putting up another good performance against Otto in New Jersey, handing them, I believe it was their second loss of the season, um,
Uh,
or sorry, their first loss of the season.
yeah, yeah, that was their only loss.
So did you predict them to win either of those games officially?
Um, no, so the problem was, uh, I wasn't allowed to pick the Toronto and my team because of the you're not allowed to predict
Hmm.
ones where
Hmm.
your team
Hmm.
plays where you or if you're on the team, and I thought they were going to split the games. I thought in my head I was thinking 3-1 that week for Toronto, even though I could see them going 4-0. But if my prediction would have been that New Jersey takes one and Toronto takes the other, and so I didn't get the first week um, Toronto game. I got the second one though.
You got the Friday one.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. I was the same, I'm pretty sure. So,
But I
spoiler alert.
said it when we picked it that I thought it would be either way. I thought they were going to split the two games, but I wasn't sure which one was which.
True, true, true. Kiwi, we will get into the rise of Jeet when we get to Toronto specifically. Don't worry. And Otto, anytime you want a hairline pic to be shown on stream of you, Otto, please provide it and we will show it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, those were the two big ones. And obviously, Paco, you weren't here last week to sort of give your opinions on Toronto or where they were going, but did either of those games come as a surprise to you?
Yeah, actually, I mean, especially the New Jersey one, right? But we
Yeah, for sure.
so
I
we
mean, New
played
Jersey was first
Toronto.
seed at the time and 4-0.
Yeah, yeah, but we played Toronto in the Friday of week one, and I thought that they didn't play that well. Like we kind of like almost dominated them, and I didn't think that they were actually playing that well. So I was kind of like surprised to see like how well they played
Hmm.
this week. But I was watching some of the games, and they kind of have this like structured, chaotic type of style to them, where they
Controlled
have like
chaos.
yeah, they got like so they have two defensemen, an Owl and Jabba, who are like both kind of like offensive, and then you got Leafs on offense, right?
Hmm.
So it's kind of like they always pinch, and then people always cover them, and it just continues like that. So it's kind of like a little bit of chaos, but it works out for them somehow.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm curious to see how they do, obviously in the next weeks. But yeah, I mean, super surprised from that 5-3 win over New Jersey, and the second one as well. But yeah,
And speaking of New Jersey, they were part of the other big game from Tuesday, which was the 6-0 thrashing of my team in Colorado, shutting us out and mercying us in the final minute of the game. So at least it doesn't look quite as bad because we played almost all 15 minutes. But yeah, not a great showing from us. We'll put it that way. Otto, let's just say he went to town on us, took us out to lunch.
yeah,
Didn't leave a tip either. It was
I,
pretty rude.
I I don't remember if I did stats for that game, but I know I watched that game, and it's funny if we're getting into game talk already. Uh, that's the one of all of them I watched. I couldn't believe even while I was watching it, and I knew the outcome that was going to end up 6-0. I couldn't believe it watching it. Like it seemed like such a close game, and then at one point it just sort of fell apart, sort of in the third, I think.
Yeah, for those who didn't see any of it, basically Narg was insane. He made some incredible saves to prevent us from scoring. And I think the game was like 2-0 or 3-0 going into the third because Narg was just stoning us over and over again. And then they just cleaned house and ended it in the third. So it was unfortunate because Skis was playing well too. It did not deserve to lose like that, but we just could not get goals past Narg that day,
Hmm.
which turned out to be really strange considering how Friday went, which we can get into now. So the Friday games, we started out with a 6-5 victory for Boston over New Jersey, a 4-1 victory for Colorado over Seattle, a 3-2 overtime victory for Toronto over LA, a 6-2 victory for Colorado over Boston, 4-3 for Seattle over LA, and then 8-5 Toronto over New Jersey in the grudge match or rematch from Tuesday. So again, kind of similar themes here. Toronto sort of the center of attention here on the Friday games, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely kind of the most interesting team right now, from I guess people's expectations versus what they're doing. But again, I really didn't think it was that surprising. I thought we had kind of mostly some close teams, and I thought it was 2 that were kind of ahead, but now I think it's 1 in Colorado, and then the rest of the other 5, at least those games should be close.
Yep.
Kind of toss-ups.
Yep.
I haven't played them yet with Java, so I'm like
Do you
super
have?
curious to see if they're like so different now. But I mean, apparently since they've won,
Yeah.
they went 4-0,
Well-
right? But yeah.
Do you want to start with Toronto talk, and we can get right into that?
Yeah, we'll get to them. I just want to address one question. Kiwi wants to talk about the Ike and Cap fight at the end of
Oh,
the
yes.
New Jersey
Oh, I didn't see
Colorado
that.
game. I didn't see that either. As soon as I saw that 6th goal came up, I hit escape E faster than I've ever done it in my
Yeah, I
life.
heard you didn't. You weren't so talkative during the second
no.
game that night, even in a 6-3 smashing.
Yeah, didn't have to be though. Put up 6 points regardless. So
Yeah.
I forgot what Ike said.
I did my best Quacky impression that game, and it worked out well. So
I'll trade it off. He's the one talking now that he's got a mic.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
Can't shut him
Yeah,
up.
he can talk, and so I can be the quiet one, and I'll just turn my mic off. Yeah, it worked. So, yeah, I heard that Ike called us a shit team. I did not hear what Cap's response was or how
I didn't know
of that
any
went,
of this.
So I've had a number of people ask me about this. So, like, to me, it seems
It
kind of
has
like
not got to be.
to me, it seems kind of like whatever. I mean, it's just like
It seemed like Ike
normal-
was just BMing.
Yeah, it's
you
just,
know, after
it
a game.
seems like normal BM to me between
Yeah.
2 players. Like I didn't really read much into it, but I had like probably 5 or 6 different people now that asked me about it. They're like, "Oh, did you see the Ike thing calling you guys a shit team afterwards?" And I'm like, "No, but does it matter? Like that's part of the fun of it." So I don't know. I don't think there was I don't think there's any bad blood there.
I
But
spoke with
I
Ike
talked
after
to
this.
Cap every
I-
day since then, and I have not heard of it. Like this
Yeah.
never came up at any
Yeah.
point. Nobody ever said anything about that.
yeah, Cap never mentioned it to me either. So it was all people on other teams. So yeah,
It seems like it's probably nothing.
Yeah, I think it's fun to like sort of fuel some sort of rivalries and whatnot in the league and sort of get those matches that have a little bit more to them than just like yet another LHL game. That's part of what makes the games enjoyable and makes it a lot more fun to win, right? When you beat somebody that's been shit talking and everything. So Austin saying it was funny till we lost every single game after that. Yeah. But that's the give and take with the game, so it's fun. And I I respect people that go out of their way to do that, clap back, and
And it's not. There's nothing really nasty there. It's just like
no, I don't think so.
You know,
either. No.
like as much as we've tried to keep out some really bad BM out of the game and the community right now, it's like that's stuff like that's fine. It's all fun and games as long as nobody's attacking each other. That's pretty good.
I think there's definitely a place for playful banter like that. So I enjoy
We need
seeing
more
it.
shit talk. We need it, guys. Come on. We gotta I want to see some of that. I remember like seeing Al on the Discord saying stuff to Kiwi. We need more of that, man. I fucking love it.
Well, you know what you don't experience is all the stuff Quacky says about you when he's on our team channel. He has a lot of choice opinions about you, Paco.
Yeah, right. That's funny because
Choice
before the draft,
opinions.
this guy made me a PowerPoint for like why I should draft them before the draft. Give me like 5 reasons. And now, all right. He can continue with his board.
There are probably
picks,
more
whatever.
than 5 reasons on why people should draft Quacky, and they were all full of. They messed it. Everybody messed it up.
Quacky
I'm
is
still
upset.
upset.
He's a pretty funny guy. I'm gonna be honest. So
Glad he's got a mic now.
Yeah, me too. He's a lot funnier now with the mic too. Just
Yeah.
the way he uses it and everything. Like you kind of have to be in Discord with him to experience it. But I'm hoping it'll kind of broaden his perspective a bit because Quacky seems to hate everybody,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that actually being able to, yes, he does have a mic now. I'm hoping that actually being able to talk to people will, open up
Yeah.
his
Oh, unfortunately, he likes a doc. That's the
Yeah,
troublesome one.
yeah, that's
Ugh,
true. Yeah,
ugh.
yeah,
Come on,
yeah.
come on, Quacky. That raises concerns. That'd be a reason not to pick him, I guess.
True, true.
Changed my mind. Good. It was a good idea to not pick him.
Meanwhile, I'm here inviting Paco onto the Faceoff in hopes it'll stop hating me, but I have yet to see success in that. So Paco, let's chat afterwards. I'll buy you some ice cream or something.
Yeah, I mean, you're still quacky for me. I'm gonna hate you
We'll
forever.
we'll
Just
go
saying.
to we'll go to Dairy Queen. How about that?
Come on, man. Gotta do a little better than that. You gotta take me out. Come on.
Take it. What? What do you want? Like Sonic?
Something a little more exotic, you know?
Exotic? All right, all right. We're going Frosties from Wendy's,
I'm actually down.
but it'll
Fro-
be swirl Frosties. It'll be chocolate and vanilla. How's that for exotic?
You know what? I'll settle with
Futuristic.
that.
Owl's suggesting we go to Cheesecake Factory, which I heard they applied for bankruptcy, which is really sad if that's
Didn't you
true.
used to go to Cheesecake Factory like all the time?
Oh, I fucking love Cheesecake Factory. Yeah.
I've never been there. As far as I knew, it was an actual cheesecake factory that you
I mean,
went to
the
all the time.
cheesecake they have is really fucking good. So I always get it's a white chocolate raspberry cheesecake. Oh my God, it's so fucking good. Definitely my favorite. So
So
anyway,
what are your
all
guys'
right,
opinions
let's
on some McFlurries? What's your favorite flavors?
I don't eat McDonald's.
I like mine plain, just vanilla ice cream.
Wow, no
Yeah.
Oreo?
Yeah, nope, just plain. Nope.
Smarties?
Actually, I prefer a nice Greek salad, homemade.
Mixed into the flurry, of course, right?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. You
Turning
don't like that
into
kind
a
of
culinary show? I like this.
All right, let's get into the actual discussion topics for HQ. I'm here, what everyone else is waiting for. So we were talking a lot about Toronto, who I think are the big takeaway, the big story from this week. So let's start there. So we were, chatting about sort of the addition that they had in bringing back, I shouldn't say is not really a fair description of it, but getting Jabba for the first time because their first three games they didn't have him for. They were playing Jeet instead. I believe he was playing up on offense and Leafs was back on D with Owl, I think is how they were doing that. But I not 100% sure, so somebody in chat can correct me if that's not the case. Jeet was performing pretty well while he was playing for them. He got 5 points, had 1.67 points per game, which was the highest on the team at the time. So he was actually, showing an ability to compete and play at that level. But they obviously had issues. Paco, you spoke to it, and I'll ask you to speak to it a little bit more here. They didn't really look great in their first three games.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I felt like defensively it was kind of like easy to get on top of them a little bit, like pressure them. They weren't really making much plays. Like they were cycling well in
Hmm.
that first game against us, like for sure, and they just weren't like capitalizing on the chances. But yeah, I don't know what it was. I think it was just
You,
defensively. They
you
just
want me to
weren't.
break down exactly what it was with my huge melon brain?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tony.
Is they didn't have Jabba there. And
I need a PowerPoint for this. Can you?
yeah, okay, yeah. Let me just work one up. But
Okay.
Someone call Quacky.
literally the whole function of that Toronto team, designed by draft. Like Kill didn't just like draft these individual guys thinking I'm taking the best player available or whatever. He took them all because he's running the Leafs system that Leafs always wants to do and can never get four guys to buy into. Where, Paco, you're talking about the rotation and covering back one man up. It's positionless. It's four guys who are going to circle around the ice, and they're all as effective in any spot. And that's the whole system. And if one of those guys is missing, and you have somebody in who was Jeet for those first 3 games, the 2 days, 3 games, and Jeet comes in, and even though he led the team in scoring on those first 3 days, the team looked bad because none of them, they can't play to their strength when you have somebody who can't, like Jeet was putting up some points, but he wasn't playing a well-rounded, all-around team. He's not covering for Kill and Leafs or Owl, and he's cherry picking a bit, and he's out of the way, and he doesn't quite have the hands and that Jabba and Owl and Leafs and Kill all have, and he's not moving the puck as effectively. And that's it. Like, even though we looked at G to somebody, wow, look, he's leading the team in scoring. Whoa, look at that. But it was hurting the team, like having him out there, because that's not how the team was built. The team wasn't built to run the offense through Jeetler. It was built so that all four guys could contribute equally. And that's what it is. Leafs and Kill on forward is a pair that couldn't, that was the plan. That's what they wanted to do, and they couldn't do it with Jeet in. And now that they have Jabba, they can do it. And this is this is the team that Kill and I'm sure Leafs wanted to build. And I don't know if it'll get better, if it'll keep up, if who knows what'll happen. But this is the best case for them. This is what they wanted. And a player, an offensively minded player, like solely, like, I mean, they're all sort of offensively minded, but like they've all played D. Two of them are defensemen, three even are defensemen in the starting lineup. Kill's played D in the LHL. If you throw somebody in like Jeet, who's not particularly good defensively, even though he's got offensive talent and he can score, it's just the team wasn't there. That wasn't the team. That wasn't Toronto without Jabba. And that's pretty much it. Like that's any struggles they had those first two game days, they mean nothing to me, because that wasn't Toronto.
No, that's
that
fair.
wasn't what we can expect.
They in their first three games they got outscored by a combined total of 12-6. So not amazing. Definitely not able to generate the offense or the defense, like you said. And since then they've been I don't know if they've been outscoring. Well, yes, they definitely have been, but 20 to I think it's 11 goals. So a stark difference in terms of their goal differential, both before and after, for sure. So I guess my question I'll pose to you, and maybe Paco, you can speak to a little bit of this as well, is this a lineup that is predicated purely on having all four players there? As in, if they lose one of those four players for a night, like if KP can't be there, Leafs, Jabba, whatever the case is, right? Are they going to resort back to having to play the same style that they did during those first three games? Is that going to become a problem? Because it doesn't seem like, looking at the backups they have here, that they have anybody that really fits in and can play that sort of similar sort of setup or strategy that what they typically like to go with, like you've described.
Yeah, I think that's the case with a handful of teams this season, but Toronto especially, where if they're missing a starter, it's drastically different, and it's a big drop. And it's not to say like the backups aren't good. Like, we saw Jeet be effective, and I'd be willing to bet, like in a pinch, Never Lucky could play a game on D, and it would be fine. Or Galch could come in, and you could, a lot of teams could get away with that. But the way Toronto plays, like, I think you gotta have the hands, and you gotta kind of you gotta be smart with your chaos, even though people might look at it and say like
chaos. Yep.
Yeah, it's chaotic. It's like you gotta know when to jump, you gotta know when to go back, you gotta know when to pass, and it might be a little wild, kind of dropping into a team like that. Absolutely. Like, I don't think I would do very well on that team.
Especially for somebody, especially for somebody like G2, who doesn't have the same level of LHL experience to be able to draw from, to sort of find his way around that. You could say Gouch might be a better shout just because he has so much experience and has played
and he's played both positions.
So it's definitely a possibility with Gouch, but with G, I think, like you said, it's tough to maintain what they're going for. What about you, Paco? How do you feel about it?
I like their team. I mean, I like the strategy that they're kind of going for, with like having all four people be able to go anywhere. Like, that's nice. But when you're doing that, you lose a little bit of the structure. Of like, you can like expose them a little bit defensively if they're like not in the right position. Someone thinks they should be up when they're not supposed to be. So I think time will tell for them, but I do like the strategy that they're going for. I was always a fan of having four people who always feel like they can contribute and like jump in whenever. So I like that. And yeah, like you said, with if they're missing someone, yeah, I mean I can see Gouch maybe filling in that spot, but yeah, ideally it would be all their starters, right? So, but
Yeah,
yeah, no, I like them a lot. I think.
I'm not surprised to hear you say that because you're somebody that has played defense and offense quite a lot throughout the duration of your career and during these 2 years that we've been gone and not doing anything, and you've excelled in both positions. So to see somebody like you, and I know Juice, who's a close friend of yours, who can do the same thing, right? I totally understand why you'd want to work in a system like that because that just perfectly sort of accentuates what you bring to the table. So I definitely understand where you're coming from there. And KP is showing that when you have the bodies to do it and can execute it properly, it is actually quite effective.
Yeah, that was always the ideal like play style in my mind. Like always having four people who just continuously like rotate,
Hmm.
who are always like in the right position and know when to go, um, like forecheck or go back or whenever. So that was always the ideal in my head. So this is kind of like executing that. But yeah, like I said, they lose a little bit of the structure, so we'll see if that like bites them.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think I was talking to you, Dial, just, I don't know, yesterday, day before, recently, about offensive teams having good starts in the LHL, like historically. Like this isn't like a crazy team build of four offensive rotating players. Like we've seen it before, and we've seen it where they kind of go off to a really hot start and be like, "Oh my gosh, how long is this gonna like?" Fit?" A lot of people are like, "This can't last forever," and a lot of the time it doesn't in teams like this, where once teams get tighter as the season goes on, they get a little better
Especially in the
defensively.
playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, in a 7-game series. I mean, I think I'm higher on Toronto than a lot of people, which I guess you would have seen on the last face-off. But just because I think they're better than people were giving them credit, and they're kind of showing that, uh, it's still a team that has question marks for me. It's concerning, and watching their games from Friday, I honestly, especially the game against LA, I didn't think that they were the better team against LA. I thought they capitalized late, and their goals that brought it to overtime were pretty fortunate. Like it's not to take anything away. A win's a win. It's not
Hmm.
like they didn't deserve to win. I'm not saying that, but I thought LA should have had that game. And then the other one against New Jersey was crazy, scoring
The LA
8,
one for
giving up
reference
5.
was 3-2 Toronto in overtime, just to
Yeah,
clarify. And then it was,
yeah,
yes, 8-5 in their victory against New Jersey, where I believe it was 6 unanswered goals they scored
yeah.
through the
And
end of the second and third period.
I didn't have a problem with either of their wins on Tuesday, but that one against New Jersey, I didn't like a lot of those goals I was seeing. I don't think Toronto's quite an 8 goal a game kind of team looking at that game, seeing those goals go in.
I mean, in fairness, I don't think any team is an 8 goal a
No.
game team. That's it's a little
No,
bit
that's well
high
that's
of an
yeah.
expectation, I think. But
It's
yeah,
it's
I
a
understand
scary
where
one to
you're
me
going.
though, where you win a game and it's okay, yeah, we won. We scored 8 goals and we won, but you let up 5, and whereas New Jersey shouldn't be letting up as many goals as they did. They scored 5 both games, and New Jersey is a 5 goal a game kind of team just because Otto's there and he's going to give you almost 4 points a night.
Yeah.
Just it's just going to happen.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of Toronto's Friday games, but that doesn't mean they're not gonna improve. And I liked what I saw of them on Tuesday. So I don't know. Is what it is with them. Not sure if they're quite a world beater team here. If people are gonna struggle or continue to struggle against them, because like I said, I thought their game against LA, of all the games they played, like that was the one. I did the stats for it, and I didn't think LA should have lost that. I feel like they made a couple of kind of just mistakes that they got punished for.
Yep. Well, they've set themselves up well at this point. I mean, they're now in the second seed.
Yeah,
When we did this same podcast 1 week ago, they were last place, and a lot of people were pretty low on their opinions of where Toronto were at and whether or not they were going to be a typical joke last place team that everybody beats up on, and they've shown the complete opposite of that. So you have to give credit where credit's due to all 5 of them, including Bert, who we haven't touched on yet. And I do want to sort of pick both of your brains real quick about Bert and how much of a part Bert has played into this. He is so far second highest save percentage in the league this season at 64.6% save rate. Is allowing a little over 3 goals against per game, which is not ideal. You'd like to see sort of south of 3, but still putting up a pretty solid performance. What do you guys think of how he's done so far?
He's
Bert,
nuts. I like
yeah,
Bert a lot. I mean,
yeah,
he's just
he's
so
good.
good.
He's not quite having a PK crazy season, but
Oh yeah, we'll
I
get to
think
PK in a minute.
Bert is like the perfect goalie for that Toronto team. I can see Goose being another goalie who would be good for them. Just a good puck mover, like to help. Like Bert helps out the defense. He helps the breakout, and he can consistently get it deep, or he can make a move if he has to with the puck too. So he's just a really great all around goalie, which is a strength that you don't really see when like you're comparing goalies on the stats, unless they're putting up an insane number of points. Which I guess Bird has a goal.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you could qualify anyone as an offensive goalie, I think
Yeah,
Bert falls into that category. So definitely up there with people like Gabe and whatnot in the past that have played G and been able
Kiwi.
to actually, yeah, Kiwi as well. Quacky, I think, was pretty good at this too when he was a goalie. That are able to actually contribute to moving the puck around and providing some level of offense. Something that Eric really needs to learn. So
Yeah,
some goalies are better at it than others, and the ones who are good at it, it's honestly it's a really big difference when you have somebody that can do that versus somebody that really can't participate in helping to move the puck around. I mean, think of how many times a game it happens where the goalie has to get the puck behind his net, right? It's usually probably like once a period at least where your goalie is
mhm.
going to have to play it. And if you have a goalie that can take that and turn it into an opportunity instead of just whipping it down the ice for a dump, that's 2 or 3 extra chances you get per game, and a lot of times that's the difference that it makes. So, all right. So, any other thoughts on Toronto before we move on to the next team?
I'm just curious to see how they do if they make the playoffs. Because I mean, Tony touched on it a little bit. Just because when you don't have a little bit of structure, like if you're playing the playoffs and it's like a little tense, I just want to see if they continue that same play style. I know it's like super soon, but like I'm just curious to see if when you
I,
apply pressure on them, do they keep up that same play style or do they
yeah,
switch it up?
It's
no,
tough
it's
to
a
score consistently over a series and get it out of different people. And the playoffs are it's sort of dumb to say because like you see it in real sports. I always hate it too, but I am going to say if the playoffs are a totally different thing, where whether it's mental or just the fact that you're playing against the better competition, it's it can be tricky,
no, absolutely.
especially for teams that aren't like they're good and they're doing well right now, but I wouldn't call them like a dominant. You're not going into them thinking these guys are gonna beat us. Kind of like I think a lot of teams are probably thinking about Colorado right now, and we have in the past. If it's teams like Kansas City or Calgary or whatever, teams like that,
Montreal,
where
yeah,
Montreal,
yeah.
good old
Though,
Otto.
yeah, the one thing I'll say to that too is that the style they play feels very much like a feast or famine sort of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I brought this up the last time when we spoke about them as either the after draft episode
Yeah, because
or the
Kill
week one
said it. Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
Yeah, where we talked about that. And I still think that that's a really astute observation about the team. It's it's the type of thing where I think they build really well on momentum. When they start to score early and can get a goal or two early, they're going to be able to spiral that out of control very quickly because they're a type of team that can exploit mistakes very easily, and you're obviously more prone to making mistakes when you have to get a little riskier with it to try to come back into a game. So I think they're a team that wants to play from ahead. You know what I mean? And in the playoffs, it's a lot harder to get that jump to a game. It's a lot harder to get a streak of goals. Scoring 3 in a period is much harder to come by. So when they don't have the opportunity to sort of play that same style, it's definitely going to force them to have to dig a little bit deeper than what they're going for right now. So I'm really interested to see it. I think they have a great shot at making the playoffs. They are playing against New Jersey again, I believe, this upcoming week. And if they take that game, they will have the head-to-head season series tiebreaker on them as well, which currently sitting at second seed with New Jersey neck and neck with them. That could be the difference between them getting second or third or fourth, or first or second, whatever the case is, right? So, good to point out. So, let's move to the other team that I think was the big story of this week, albeit for less positive reasons, at least personally. Uh, LA. So we have them up on the screen already, so everybody can see. But LA is on a very unfortunate 6-game losing streak after winning their first game of the season, which I think was the first game in total of this LHL season. They beat none other than Toronto in a 3-1 game. And since then, they've been outscored by a score of 20-10. So, number of issues for them so far. Paco, where do you think their biggest problems have been lying?
Is Kiwi stats right?
Yes.
Just kidding. Um, for me, I think it's like everything except for the except for PK, obviously. I think Lalu and Kiwi, they play too similar of a style. They both like to be in front of the net, I guess, and it's not just like going for tips or whatever, but they like just being in that area. And I don't really think they have someone who can like move around and try to like a possession based player who can like try to get you some space. Like they both kind of try to do that, but they're just like not really that type of player to like like make their own space, like dangle around someone. Like sometimes you
Yeah.
kind of need that, especially when you're playing with one of them who like you just want to go around someone and then pass it to them in front of the net and they'll just tip it or like just put it right in the net. So I think they play super similar, but I know like the big focus is on the offense, um, but I also think the defense is also a big thing. Like if we just look at the points per game for them, which is pretty low. I mean, overall for the whole team, I guess. But I don't know. I, I'm s- I don't know what the whole thing about is of like maybe like not playing D-Man Jerry. I don't know. I haven't really paid too much attention to that. But I think he would be good, like a good fit into this team. I mean, nothing against like Johnny Hockey or Zam, but I don't know, just like switch things up. I'm gonna bet that they're probably gonna switch something up for this
I,
next
I
week.
think they
But
definitely will.
Are their
And
shots against the most in the league there at 10-1-4?
yes, I believe so. I believe they have the highest, well,
Yeah.
lowest, highest, however you want to say it, right? They're the last place team in shots against per game right now, and they are, I think, also the last place team in shots for. That might be Seattle, but they're either last or second
Yeah,
to last, I think. So
Seattle's
they're
lower than them.
yeah,
We're,
they're
we're at
definitely
6
having
though.
trouble on both ends, like you pointed out, Paco. And I I feel like they're definitely not as bad, and I'm sure you guys would agree with this. They're not as bad as their 1-6 record suggests. And
No, they've
part of
kept it
what
like they
part
kept every game close
well,
for the
that's what I was
last
about
2
to
weeks.
say is their
Yeah.
last 5 games in a row have been 1-goal losses. And
Yeah.
last 4 games in a row have been 1-goal losses.
5 of 6 even.
Five
Their
of the last
first loss
six.
was
Yep.
1-0.
Exactly. So they've had the one bad game against Colorado, which if you take that out of their stats, that was a 7-2 loss for them. So take that out, the rest of their 6 games, they're being outscored 14-11. So to be outscored only 14-11 and be 1-5 in that time is pretty fucking unlucky. And I think that's kind of backed up by the fact that their shooting percentage is so low. It's under 30%. Having a 28.89% shoot percentage, the league average tends to be right around 40%. For defensemen, it's usually a little lower. Forwards, it's usually a little bit higher. Averages out right there in the middle. So when you see a team that's below 40, generally that means that either their offense is getting not enough quality shots or they're just not generating enough chances. And that definitely seems to be a key issue with this team. And like you said, Paco, I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they don't have somebody who's able to really take the puck, skate up, make a guy miss, and then make a play afterwards. And not having that as a dynamic element to their game, when we look at Toronto as an example, who's full of 4 people that can all do that, it makes a big difference in what they're able to sort of force on a nightly basis. Um, and I have to give a shout out to PK here because PK is playing at an unbelievable level. Yes, I know some of the goalies have been saying, oh, he's getting some soft saves and whatnot, which is true, but every goalie does get that, to be
Yeah,
fair.
I've seen
And
every goalie get him in every game I've
oh,
done
yeah,
for stats.
for sure. And he is putting up a 70.42% save rate, which anything over like anything in the 60s is generally pretty good. High 60s is really good. Over 70 is fucking crazy. There's like a handful of times where that's ever happened, maybe like 5 or 6 in total. So the save percentage he's putting up, especially on a team that's giving up as many shots as this, is unbelievable. And the fact that he's only got one win to show for it really makes you feel for PK with the performance that he's been letting in. I mean, there's
Yeah,
been a game where he let in one goal and he lost, and that's
yeah.
really tough as a goalie. I mean, they're leaning on him heavily to be the nuts player that we all know he's capable of, and he definitely looks to be the early favorite for best goalie of the year.
You were mentioning
Um,
like the 1-goal games, and I mean we played them in Tuesday last week,
mhm.
and it was 2-1, like the final score. But I thought like that game probably could have been like 6-1 or like 7-1. Like honestly, like PK was absolutely insane against us. So I know that most of these games have been 1 goal for them, but how much of that is just PK like playing out of his mind and like making it close? Like I don't know. I haven't seen the other ones, but I know against us for sure that he was insane. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Paco, you touched on sort of some potential lineup questions. We have seen that they've had to play 2 games without Otto here, or Otto, sorry, Lalu. They've also had to play some games with Zam playing from a laptop, not at home. They've had to deal with a little bit of adversity so far in terms of some lineup changes. But Tony, I know Paco mentioned potentially bringing in D-Man Jerry. Do you see a way with their current lineup that they could switch things around to potentially give them a better chance to succeed?
Um, well, I don't know if it's D-Man Jerry plugging in is gonna save the team. It could help the defense. One thing I noticed about LA, you're talking about. See, I don't know. I don't really think Lalu or Kiwi are bad forwards by any stretch, and I don't think Zam and Johnny are bad defensemen. But
No, I
it's
don't
sort of
either.
it it's sort of a synergy thing. I don't know if it's a connection D to D, Odo, or it's all 4 of them, or whatever the issues are. But like in the same sense that you don't like, or Paco, you said you didn't think Kiwi and Lalu, them playing sort of the same way is going to work for them. I kind of think it's the same thing with Sam and Johnny. I think Johnny is a lot more talented than a lot of people thought he was. Like coming back out of whatever. Like his hands look good. He looks smooth. He's getting shots. He's getting looks. He's even putting up. He's got 2 goals. That's crazy for Johnny standards.
Yeah,
But
Johnny was never known as an offensive
yeah,
defenseman at
but
any
that's
point during
sort
his
of
career.
how I see him playing
No, I
against
would
him, and
agree.
just
I would
and
agree.
watching. And I think not to like take like badmouth Johnny here, but he's just kind of to me sort of like a worse Zam, where Zam's already you've got that guy, and I mean Johnny's succeeding at it. I think for like he's playing to his strengths, and when he's able to play to his strengths with the puck and getting shots on or near the net for the tip and moving the puck up, I think he's doing well. But sort of in the defensive side of things, I don't think him and Zam are really getting it done, which is why we're seeing over 10 shots a game. That's a little on Kiwi and Lalu too, but for the most part, that's a defensive stat.
Yeah, I've always been a believer in that your defensemen are in the most pivotal position on the team. The defensemen are the ones that will not only drive the offense, but obviously limit the opportunities against, right? So I think you typically want to have your best players playing defense, and they have the opportunity to really dictate how the entire game is going to go. And you definitely have to put a little bit on them in terms of the offense as well to say, I mean, this team is generating less than 7 shots a game. If you want to go into league averages again, typically it's around 7.5 shots per game for a team. So they're about a full shot short of what they probably should be on an average basis at minimum. And definitely when you have guys like Zam, Kiwi, and Lalo on the team, it's kind of hard to see that and make sense of that. So there's definitely improvements that I think have to be made both from the forwards and the defense to help sort of facilitate that. I have heard rumors about Kiwi asking around for some Dalfan coaching on breakouts, so maybe we will see some of that coming up here soon.
I think they're moving the puck okay. Actually, I think both defensemen are good puck movers, and like that's what you see with those teams is they're moving it well on when they have the puck, but once they're in the offensive zone, they're not really getting the good chances. Even though I've seen them get possession I've seen them do it against us where they're able to get possession, but they kind of just resort to throwing it, going for tips, trying to get the puck behind. They're not really doing anything dangerous, nothing in transition really. Like
feel
they
like
move it
Zam
well. I
maybe,
think they're
like,
trying
really
to play.
wants them.
Go ahead,
Like,
Paco.
What's
I just feel like Zam, like just by seeing him play in like pubs and whatever, like he's really good with the puck. Like he could
Mhm.
make that move around someone. He could like pull some people towards him and then open up Lalu and Kiwi. So I'm just curious to see if he's been doing that. Maybe try a little more to like get around some people to try to like I don't know, pull people away from forwards. I don't know. Um, I guess I kind of expected him to do a little more. I mean, I know he was playing on the
Yeah.
laptop or whatever, and I haven't really watched too many of the games, but I know he's someone who can like easily get around people. So
Yeah, he's going to be key to that team with
Yeah,
his ability to break it out.
I think he's the X factor. I mean, you look at Lalo and the team's putting up only less than 2 goals per game, which is not great.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Lalo's
Lalo
still
did
been
miss a day, by
able.
the way.
Yes, Lalo did miss a day, and Lalo's still been able to put up 2 points a game. So I think the offense is still there. They have somebody who can, carry the majority of the scoring that needs to happen here, but they definitely need to help him out a little bit more, make it a little bit easier for him to get some of these chances and some of these opportunities, and not rely so much on him having to sort of deflect things in front and sort of make these opportunities out of nothing, which I feel like he's been sort of a little too reliant on up to this point. So that's at least my opinion of it. Do you guys? So we chatted about it briefly with D-Man Jerry, but is there a way to insert him into this lineup that makes sense right now?
Um, I don't know. Maybe like it's at this point you might that we're getting to the point where you might want to try anything. At least start trying something, and that's the only on the roster. That's the only real logical step outside of a trade, which is something that you can't ever predict. You don't know what they could get from any team and how that works. But just in house, Jerry, maybe swapping him and Johnny. If Jerry plays super defensive, maybe that helps. But I
yeah,
really don't
I
know.
was thinking that too. Like maybe have Zam play a little bit more aggressive on D.
Or maybe run it through Zama because I know Johnny does a lot, and it's not even that he's not good at it, but Johnny's doing a lot with the puck for that team every time I've seen them, and as good as Johnny's been, I think he's sort of exceeded some expectations of what an old player coming back can do. I think it's sort of a mistake to have him sort of running the offense in the breakout when you have Zam on the team.
It does kind of bring me back to our discussion about Toronto, though, where sometimes even if a player is performing decently well, like we saw with Jeet, that doesn't necessarily mean that their presence in the lineup is what's best for the team. And I'm not suggesting that what Johnny's doing is not what's best for the team. Not meant to be using him as an example here, but just saying in general, it is entirely reasonable to assume that putting D-Man Jerry in, or insert X player here from trade or whatever, I'm not Stamkos, whatever it may be, will allow them to play to a style that makes more sense for what they excel at, rather than them kind of having to sort of work around what they're dealing with right now. So it's definitely something that I'm going to be pretty interested to follow because, like I said, I think they've been unlucky, regardless of the fact that obviously they're not playing as well as they're capable of right now. There's definitely a semblance of being unlucky to this, and you can't take that away from it. With all of these being 1-goal games, these could easily have gone to OT. There could be some OT wins. One bounced the other way, and LA is coming out with some wins here. So I don't think it's quite all as doom and gloom as it looks when you say, oh, it's a 1-6 team, right? But yeah, I think there's going to have to be some change here at some point. I think if you rely too much on the, pucks are going to bounce our way, we're going to start getting lucky again soon. If you rely too much on that, you're going to run out of time. And they've got 18 games left to pick it back up and get back into a playoff spot. So certainly not undoable. But one good date to note is that we have 5 game days or 10 games in total until the trade deadline. So that is Tuesday, November 10th, I think it is, Tony. Is that correct?
Yep, November 10th.
Yeah.
Probably
so
after the games.
there is plenty of time between now and the trade deadline for them to figure some things out, but I definitely think this is going to be one of the first teams, if not the first team, to really try to push for making a trade.
Yeah, and you don't want to get in a hole too. Like say they have like a poor week next week.
Yeah, another poor week could be it. That could kill you.
Absolutely.
It might be too late. Like if you make a trade, you're gonna have to win like I don't know, like 70% of the next games until the end of the season if you want to make the playoffs. So that's just a random number in my head, but yeah, you
Well,
you
yeah,
want to make sure
if
that
they're waiting till the trade deadline, as an example, they have 8 games left after the trade deadline.
yeah, like that might be too late, right?
Yep.
If they do poorly until then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they may be 1-6 right now. But let's say they win both of their games, and Boston, who's in a playoff spot, loses both. That gives LA their spot right there. Like we're 1 week away from the league standings, at least looking entirely different one way or the other.
It is still very early, and the teams are close enough that things could swing wildly. Obviously, we just saw Toronto go from last place to second, so there's a lot that can change in the matter of 2 game days, right? So there's 12 points on the board every time you step onto the ice for that week. So there's some big swings that can happen in this league for sure.
Yep.
All right. Any final thoughts on LA?
Yeah, if they hit the deadline, they're still in the spot. They don't make a move. I predict they trade PK to a playoff team, and PK wins the cup.
Oof.
I'm sure PK winning the cup is a prediction that he'll be very happy to hear.
Yeah.
All right.
Kiwi to New Jersey? Is that happening? Hello?
Could you imagine?
So
Go to hell. You got to play against Ottawa and PK. Who could beat that?
So let's move on to talk about Seattle a little bit more. So Tony.
Goody.
I'm gonna put you on the spotlight here, Tony, because this.
I've been told to maybe not share as much on my feelings of Seattle this time. I don't think my team was too thrilled with how I talked about them after the first week. So I think we're looking good. Real good, yeah. Everybody's good. Everything's fine.
I was hearing rumors that you're on the trade block, Tony.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too. I was there when those rumors were said to my face last night. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. The team in general genuinely has full faith and belief that things are turning around, and we're just going to continue to improve to the point where we're a contending team. That's the general consensus among the team. I think our last week we saw a lot of improvement, even if we, I think, split the games. Probably went 2-2 this past week, right?
Beat LA twice.
Yeah, and one was an OT. That second, I mean, even though it was a 1-goal game, that was us sort of pissing it away. That last game we played, I think we could have ran the score up on LA if we didn't kind of screw it up.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere, where they scored like 2.
Yeah, it was one of them. And I don't usually give my goalie shit, but Goose was talking about it. One, he wanted back bad. I don't remember which goal it was, but there was one that he kind of let in a long shot that I don't think got tipped, and he was pretty upset about that. I think he might, and then I think he might have let in another one after there. It might have been in his own head a bit. Felt bad because it wasn't even his fault. It was like our fault for kind of breakdowns. But I don't know. We played some good games.
Yeah, I noticed DMB did pretty well.
Oh man, to be fair, as much as I said I thought we really should have won that was because of DMB. DMB had like 4 goals where he just walked guys. It was
So how do you
incredible.
feel playing with them this past week?
I think he's looking good, but I'm not playing with him particularly well. I don't play off him in a way that is really good. I think if Kiwi and Lalu's not really struggling. Kiwi's kind of struggling, but I think if LA didn't have the offensive struggles they would, you would look at me and DMB as probably the worst forward pair in the league right now, and it's mostly just due to a lack of chemistry, I would say. That and me being dog shit at the game. Those two things kind of.
I think that might be. I think the worst thing is you need to be a little bit more confident in your ability to.
Oh, I'm confident. I'm the next Dial. It's just maybe way down the line when everybody's dead and I'm the last one playing.
I was talking how you were on the trade block. I think you put yourself on there just by talking a lot about how you don't like your own play or whatever. But
well, yeah. I'm not a fan. I think I am the weakest link on the Seattle team right now. But I think I can probably turn it around. At least turn it around to an acceptable level. Maybe not go above and beyond like I was kind of hoping I'd be able to do.
Yeah. I'll give you my perspective on this team just by playing them. For some reason, we struggle against your team a little bit. I think it's like you guys play so like structured. You're like the anti-Toronto a little bit. Something about like you guys always make the safest play, and it's like a predictable one, but it's like the safe one, and we can't really like do much about it. Like you always go for the open person, and it's just like so structured, and it's super annoying to play against, to be honest, just because you can't really like expose much out of the defense or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of high on your defense more than maybe other teams are.
I think I thought BG had a bad first week to badmouth the teammate, but he's absolutely turned it around since then. He's really impressed me with his defensive play. Shooting the puck, not so much. Defensive side, he's looking really good, I think. And kind of any worries I had about him are gone now.
Yeah. I think also, I mean, the big thing obviously is Goose only being able to play like half half the week, right? But Goose is like, I hate playing against him in like pubs or whatever. Like we played like a ranked pubs and he like scored, or I had like 6 shots on him or something. And he saved like almost every single one of them. But how do you feel about like the goalie situation for you guys?
It scares me. I don't like it's goalie in this game is such an odd thing that I will never fully be able to understand how some people can consistently do it. And that's the key, is getting to a consistent level. And when you're playing in league games only once a week, whether you're Eric or you're Goose, it doesn't matter. It's so hard to get into the swing if you're not playing as much. And that's kind of what it comes down to for those guys. Like I have full faith in Goose, and I think Eric can get to a level where he's playing well and he's competing and he's looking kind of like he did in the regular season in season 19. Like he's got he's got the talent and everything, but it's hard. It's really hard to get into the swing of being a consistent goalie, and it's even harder when you're splitting games. You're playing on Tuesday only if you're Eric, or playing Friday only if you're Goose. So it's a scary spot. Not that I don't, trust either of those guys to be able to come in and do it, but I'm kind of worried about, them getting into the flow. Them, especially with Eric. Eric can be streaky. Like I know he could get hot, but it's going to be really hard to get hot when he only play once a week.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it definitely puts emphasis on, playing out of the game too, to stay in game shape when you're going that long without playing anything. As a goalie, the goalies can get cold even over the course of, 2 games in one night, right? So to go for that long without doing it, you're definitely sort of asking for potential issues. Obviously, there are some goalies that can sort of break the mold there, like we've seen Narg in the past go several weeks without practice and come back and just like be dominant for a night. So it certainly can happen, but obviously, generally don't set yourself up to succeed when you're doing that. So that's definitely something, at least from the Eric perspective, that you'd want to see more out of, is more practice, and especially for his sake, where I think a lot of it is more mentality based necessarily than talent based. I think he gets in his own head a lot really easily. The only way to fix that is to keep putting yourself in game situations and keep forcing yourself to do it over and over again until you find some level of comfort in that. And if he's not doing it, that's never going to improve. So,
Yeah.
and with that said, it also does put a lot of emphasis on your games with Goose in net. If Eric's not able to really put up a solid performance, or if you guys aren't able to win enough games when he's there, obviously he's at a 52% save rate right now, which is not great. Obviously, it's only been 3 games, so that's not necessarily the best indicator for the level that he's at the moment. But definitely gonna need to see better than 52% out of him to be able to take home more of those games when he's there playing. So do I think he'll get there? Yes. Do I know what level he's going to make it to? Nobody really does, and that's going to depend entirely on how seriously he takes it. So
Hmm.
Yeah, the pressure on Goose to like win his Friday games. If for example like Eric doesn't play well on the Tuesdays, it might be a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, Goose might feel like he has to win like every single game,
I
right?
think he feels that anyway. Goose is a pretty
I mean, yeah.
competitive guy. But yeah, especially
well, especially when
if we're not
Crab's
doing
there to
so hot
crack
on
the whip.
Tuesdays.
Oh, he's nasty.
Yeah.
He's
He
nasty, all
did
right.
some nasty things yesterday.
Yeah. Nasty things to Tony Flo,
Yeah.
which were stop being so negative. Have confidence, all that good stuff. All the bad things you don't want to hear.
Well,
Wait, is the Tony trade confirmed yet, or can I?
Has it gone through? Yeah.
it's the BG trade that's got to come first. Come on now.
We're both gone. It's the same trade. It's us for, I don't know, ace. Who knows?
Reasonable. Well, with all that said, you guys are only 1 point out of a playoff spot right now, and your record is still 3-4 in the season. So, it's definitely not in that bad of a position by any stretch of the imagination this far into the season. And I personally think it looks like you guys have been gradually getting better. There was definitely some shakiness at the start, but that seems to be progressing over time, especially as DMB sort of gets a feel for it more and gets back into it. We saw him have a big 4-goal game on Friday, I think it was.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got it, and it's definitely there. It's just a matter of being able to bring this out a little bit more consistently. And some of the same concerns I had with LA being able to generate offense kind of come up again here, and that you guys have 2 very proficient forwards here that are capable of scoring goals, but not necessarily the type of people that are going to be deking around everybody and creating a lot of scoring chances for themselves. So this is something that DMB is capable of, but we need to see him shake off more of the rust and sort of prove that he can get back to that level at a consistent basis.
Mhm.
And he's getting there. So there's there's something positive to take away from it and sort of look forward to. And I'm hoping to see that he can do that a little bit more frequently, especially given the way that his LHL career ended before this season. Wasn't particularly great
Hey,
for him.
he's doing way better now than he
So
did then.
yeah, and I think he probably doesn't really care, but I think just from a confidence perspective, that this is a big season for proving that he's a lot better than what he showed there, and that he
Hmm.
is still capable of being the guy to carry the offensive load on a team. So, and having you as a secondary forward there to support him is certainly not a bad situation by any means. So,
You need a confident Tony though.
I don't. That's the thing,
does that
though. Is
exist?
that has never been shown at any point in HQM history.
The only time Tony was confident was when he was on Calgary and they were already up 3-0 in the finals.
Yeah, I was pretty sure we had it there, and that's why I felt the need to go up and squeeze in a couple of goals.
I also think this team probably gets better over time, just like naturally a
Agreed.
little bit. I think Tony and DB probably develop a little bit more chemistry as time goes on, and obviously you mentioned with DMB shaking up the rust, that takes a little bit of time. And yeah, I mean, I think these guys are good. I don't know if they're going to do anything with the goalie situation or anything to keep it how it is, but yeah, just some time
Yeah,
maybe.
that there's the if Crab will put the sniper away from my head for 1 second. allow me to say the one big question mark around my team, the Seattle team, is that goalie situation. Is we might improve as skaters. Me and DMB might get the chemistry going. Crab and BG can continue to just get better. Then we get better as a team. It might not matter if we don't, get some consistent goaltending here. Whether it's the same goalie, but we need to be able to get these saves consistently. And if we don't get that, we might be in an LA spot where by the by the end of the season we might look good, but it might not have been enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Seattle team will look better as time goes on. It won't be a team where you can mark it as a free win. I think it'll be, but I think that with most teams.
I don't think anybody really marks you guys as a free win. I know we certainly don't. But
it's funny because to us that's the loss. I mean, maybe not to them. To me, it is the free loss, the Colorado game.
Oh man! Well,
I think in our 2 games against you, we've shot the puck 4 times.
I can tell you with certainty, we don't look at any team as a free win. Least of all you guys. There's way too much experience on your team. Way too many people that know how to play the game
They are
at
all
a very
old.
high level. Oh yes.
You're right. You're right. With the
average age of like 30 plus or something.
A lot of people that have demonstrated an ability to play the game at the highest level and demonstrated that they know how to win against a variety of different style of teams. So that's always something that at least I'm personally going to be aware of and cautious of. And it's always going to give me the sort of belief that there's more in the tank there for you guys to show, and that you guys can absolutely turn this around and become, a first, second place quality team. So the pieces are there.
Here's hoping. If I was just good, this team would be awesome. Oh well.
What's my boy Payne coming in? He deserves.
God, that's the other thing. A lot of if you look where I've been talking about this, I don't know. I don't really like talking about it on the Faceoff because I don't want to upset too many people. But I think a lot of teams are kind of in trouble if their starters are missing games, and our team is one where we have a backup that I think could start in Payne, where a lot of teams I don't think have that. I think Payne's a good utility guy. You can punch him in and he'll get the job done. Like a lot of team can't look to inside, help. And I don't like even us. I don't think Payne improves our defense, which sucks because, like I said, I feel like he could absolutely play. And I know he hasn't played an LHL game before, and I'm sure it's coming this season. But I thought it would have happened already, and I thought, for sure he would. Well, I thought for sure in general backups would be more used by this point. It's crazy to me how good the attendance has been.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty impressive so far. And yeah, Payne has shown, I mean, you talk about how good he was even during the draft and whatnot, but he's been the best player so far in the Sunday Night League, and we'll touch on that a little bit more at the end of the night here. But he's got 6 points, and he's first place in points so far. So he's definitely demonstrating that he's, I think, a step above where a lot of the other backup players are right now. So yeah, you'd have to think at some point here he's going to get his chance.
Yeah, like I feel bad. I feel bad that he's not getting it, especially on a team that we're on a team that's kind of struggling and low in the standings. We've been low, but there's no,
there's no obvious place to plug him in still at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If BG hadn't turned it around, I would have said maybe that spot. But like I said, I think BG's been pretty good, especially on the defensive side the last week.
All right, so if you guys are good with Seattle, we can move on to Colorado if we want to talk about a team with potential backups and whatnot.
Yeah.
I hate this team.
Fuck these guys.
Wow, okay, yeah, see, I knew you hated me, Paco. I knew. Just waiting for you to say it.
It's more quacky, but yeah.
We all kind of hate quacky, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Colorado, my team so far first place. We are 6-1 with the one loss being a mercy loss, so bit excessive. Also, Juice is trying to say Guy sabotaged the league when he quit the league the night before the draft. So
Yeah.
Juice, this is the
And
pot
I think
calling the kettle
caused the
black
GM
here.
to step down.
Yeah, this is a bit much, Juice. Saying Guy sabotaged the league.
Now, on the other hand, Guy sabotaged the league.
But anyway, here's how Guy actually
Yeah.
sabotaged the league. Yeah, so again, to clarify for those who may not have been following along with this Guy saga, he is getting surgery on his shoulder at some point. Sounds like it's going to be in December, which is perfect. Means he's probably not going to be able to play any playoff games. But the way his signups worked is that he signed up for under 50% attendance because he didn't know when his surgery was going to be. It could have been at any point during this season. So that means he can play a total of 12 games. He's already
Yeah.
played 7, and that means there are only 5 more that he could play in the final 18 games that we have. So we have been fortunate. You were talking about attendance, right? We've been fortunate that Marchie's been here for 6 of the 7 games. I think that's probably a slightly higher rate than what he's going to maintain the rest of the season. I don't think he'll be there for 90%. I think he'll be closer to like 75, 70%. So as much as we've been performing very well in the first 2 weeks here, there are certainly a lot of reasonable question marks about what's going to happen when we can't play Guy anymore, and what's going to happen when Marchie also is not there for the night. So that's going to result in Cap coming in on D, and it's also going to result in likely Doc coming in on D alongside of him. And I know, Tony, Doc is another player that you believe has more to show than what most people give him credit for, right?
Yeah, if you're gonna plug a guy in on defense, especially, like there aren't many players I would want rather than Doc as your kind of extra guy to go in. Like Payne and Doc are kind of the two. I guess Jerry but Jerry's kind of like in that fringe like starter level to me where I thought he would have a spot, and Johnny would maybe be the guy on the outside looking in.
Same.
But that's kind of different. Like dogs barking. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
But yeah, Doc's good. He fell to the 6th round of the Sunday Night League, and I know they're talking about he fell because 2 GMs didn't really want to take him, and that just blows my mind because I think he's honestly a starting caliber defenseman. He's a bit of a shitter. Like I like Doc, but he doesn't really take it too seriously, and I guess that'll put people off. But like he plays D really well. He stops good players. Like he can get stops on auto. He's not going to get walked. It's such an odd thing that people don't value what he brings to me. And I think Doc's going to get some games in the season. And I don't think it's going to be weak where some people are like, oh, they're going to be playing Cap and Doc. I think that's fine. I think Doc is going to plug in and be able to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an odd one. The team is so deep, and I think people are probably going to be upset when Doc comes in and is fine for maybe 6-7 games this season, and you guys win like 4 of them. I think they're going to be like, this is bullshit, but it's just foolish overlooking of talent in the draft, which happened in the Sunday Night League. And I can't, like, he went in the same round in the Sunday night draft as he did in the LHL. That's nuts.
Yeah, I still can't really understand that one.
He's probably the
Doesn't make
best
any sense to
defenseman
me.
in that whole league, at least at defense. He's a good defensive defenseman who isn't worthless at like passing the puck and playing with the team.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys are fine. Once it comes to that, to be honest. But you guys with Guy and with Marchie,
Yeah,
man.
they're sickening.
Yeah.
That's funny. Marchie's he's doing okay. He doesn't look that great. Guy's the one kind of looking like, yeah, it's Guy out there, even with the mouse bug.
Man,
Yeah.
I hate playing against Guy, just like trying to get in the zone.
I tried
With the
that game we
stick
played
in, like,
against
the
them.
perfect place.
I tried coming off the boards and cutting in twice, and he was having none of it, and I ended up walking it away and having nothing at any point. It's hard to play against him when he's on you.
Yeah, and that's sort of regardless of the position he plays. He's
Mhm.
just a really difficult player to play against. I think he's one of the harder players in general to play
I would
against in
call
the
him
league.
maybe the best checker, of checking a
Yeah.
player, not like hitting, but like if you're playing one-on-one defense, Guy is probably the hardest guy
I
to get away
agree.
from. in the whole
Completely.
game that I've ever seen.
When I was playing defense, when Guy was coming to forecheck, it's just like the worst thing ever. Like you have to get rid of it. Like you can't do anything else with it. So
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna block that thing.
Al says Juice too. Yeah, they both play pretty similar. Like they
Yeah.
don't bite on anything. So you just gotta get rid of it. So I hate that, but I'm just
Juice
waiting
says in
until
chat, Otto
relieved.
underrated defender.
I agree.
That's
I
true.
agree.
Yeah,
Otto's
yeah.
Otto's
great,
an awesome. Otto's awesome at defending and checking
Absolutely.
and taking the puck off of guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Him and Guy would be my two. Juice is up there. I don't know. Juice is great at, especially when he's back. I wouldn't say he's as good a forechecker as Guy, but he's as good, or if not better, when he's back and playing D and lock in on a guy when he's kind of got the angle.
Yeah, but Juice doesn't count because he's not playing the league this
No,
season.
he doesn't
so-
count. Let's stop talking about Juice. You're right,
Yeah.
bastard.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve that. Anyway, yeah, the guy on defense experiment I think has been working out really well for us so far. I know there was some questions about how effective that was going to be to basically play 3 forwards all the time, or if Marchie's not there, play 4.
Turns out really good, really effective. Wow.
Yeah.
The Guy is a top 3 player in this game.
Yeah. He's
fucking
really
crazy.
good, but again, we only have him for 5 more games.
Yeah, I mean, that is a
18
that is a
remaining,
plus.
So
I know some people are upset with me that Guy is playing, and everybody had the same information. When I get complained at about people not like, oh, how come Guy is making games? I told everybody the same thing. Is like,
Can he play in the playoffs though?
Yeah.
So the way it will work in the playoffs is he can never, still sub 50%, and he can never break that level of games, like that percentage of games, throughout any individual playoff series. So if the game is, if you're in game 3, he can only have played 1 game so far. Once you go to game 4, he can play a second game. Once you go to game 5, he can't play. 6, he could play. 7, he could play. If that makes sense.
I think a lot of people were under the impression that he was like for sure gonna miss the playoffs.
Well,
that's what everybody thought, including him.
His surgery is going to be scheduled for December, and the playoffs start on December 1st. So it is very, very likely, if not guaranteed, that he is going to miss time in the playoffs because of the surgery.
Yeah, because it'll be before Christmas.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I hope that's the case for the sake of the other teams, because that team would just probably decimate everyone. To be honest.
Yeah. It's likely. Probably could anyway. Archie, Cap's good. Like that's the crazy thing about this team is Cap is good. He's probably one of the better defensemen in the league, and he has played 1 game, and it was on Friday.
Yeah, that was Cap's first game, and that was because Marchie had to dip out after the first game to go feed his girlfriend. So
Yes, Andy had an unreal stop on. I don't remember who it was. It was, I don't know, weird. Stopped somebody who had the puck and was coming down on him.
I still kind of feel bad for Cap that he's not getting to play more. Honestly, like
5 more games.
Like he should have drafted worse. Like, sorry, but you picked people that are better than you. Like, what else do you say at that point? So, anyway, any closing thoughts on Colorado before we move on?
I just want to say we faced you guys twice this week, and I thought it was way closer than the score looked. Like it was 6-3 and then 6-2. I don't know. I thought Capital Skis was insane. And I thought
he was insane on the second one.
He did.
The second day was nuts for sure.
I thought we probably could have been better defensively too, but just pissed.
Paco's bad mouth his defense. Hate to see it. Hate to see it.
We'll get to that soon too.
Well, let's get to it now, Paco. Let's do Boston and give you the opportunity to badmouth your defense all you want. So by all means, go for it, buddy.
Okay.
His defense is good. I thought they were good.
I mean, we went 2-2 this week. I honestly think we're good, or we're pretty good. Taser, Dalf, and Drag. I don't think any of them play in Friday Night Hockey, like the tourney before this.
Taze did.
Okay.
Actually, Dalf did too.
Did they? All right, I was gonna make an excuse about how they're all pretty rusty still, but
well, they came in late. I think Dalf came in late. Taze, I don't remember. Taze didn't play a whole lot in it. He played a few times.
I don't know. I feel fine with the team. I know Sully is like down on himself a little bit.
Poor Sully.
I know he has like a 55 save percentage or something. He felt probably yesterday that he could have made more saves, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of the goals were kind of like right in front or like breakaways or something. So, but for me, just playing forward, which is really new to me. I always feel like I'm in the bad position or like in a wrong position. Like I feel like I should be helping out more on defense, like helping out Taze and Dalf, or sometimes I feel like I should be flying up. So I think it's the balance of trying to play both, which is a little difficult. I know Taze and Dalf are like really good at like breaking out the puck, but sometimes when we get like hemmed in our own zone, I feel like okay, maybe I should be playing back a little bit. But I don't know. I think we played fine. I know Drag missed a lot of chances in front, but like mechanical stuff like that happens. Like over time, it'll get better. But I think also I mentioned this for Seattle with over time they will probably get better. I think for us that's also the case. Just having more games played for Taze and Dalf and Drag, and just getting the team on the same page, I think will be better over time. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty positive for me. So yeah.
I think my point from last week about Boston remains the same. Of if Sully had the save percentage, I thought he would have had, the team would be in great shape. It's not. I'm not blaming him for that. I'm just saying if like it, I expected like a 10 higher save percentage out of him. I thought he was going to be great, like lights out, Bert PK style, and he's not doing great right now, but he can be. So he like it could happen this week. He could have 2 shutouts.
Yeah, no, he definitely could. He has all the ability in the world to do that. Trained by PK, so you have to imagine that PK set him up to succeed. That's for sure, and Sully's got the skills to execute on it. With that said, I think the biggest problem that they've had so far has been defensively. I mean, offensively, they're able to put up enough goals per game to stay competitive and stay in games and win these games, and their shots are looking pretty good too. But the shots against are, I think, second worst in the league, and are much higher than what I would have anticipated from a team that has Paco and a great two-way player, and then Taze and Dalf, two of the better defensemen to have ever played the game. So having the three of you guys on a team together, it's surprising to me to see that the shots against have been as high as they are, and as a result, the goals against as well. I know Sully's probably not super happy about having a goals against average that is above 4 at the moment, and I certainly think that's going to improve considerably as the season goes on. But nonetheless, it's definitely been the thorn in your side so far this season, and even in the games that you have won, a lot of those you guys have given up a number of goals, like the 6-5 win you guys just had over New Jersey. So there definitely seems to be a somewhat of a disconnect there somewhere, and I'm curious as to sort of what you think that might be, Paco.
Yeah, like I know the way I usually play is like two-way, like a lot. But I also have to like something I noticed after the first week that I was playing maybe a little bit too defensive. Like I need to stretch out like you need to stretch out like the D a little bit more, right? So I don't know. It's for me, like I said, it's just being able to play offense and defense and just knowing the right mixture of it to be able to help out Taze and Delph. Like I have to be up, right, to be able to score goals or like make plays or whatever, and I can't just be like back helping them. Um, so I don't know. For me personally, it's trying to find that right mixture. I mean, it's not all me, obviously. Like there's other people in this game, but other people on the team. But I don't know. I guess it's just trying to find the mixture of um, like how we play D as a team and not just Delph and Taze together. I guess
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it's also offensively, right? Like I don't know. Um, we all have the potential to like score. Like Taze has the second most points, right? So I
Yeah,
don't know.
Taze is second on the team in points with 10.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I definitely agree though. Like defensively, I think we can be more like tighter on people. Like even just watching the game against you guys, Colorado. Like you guys made so many like stretch passes and everything, and then you guys have like a lot of space to be able to make a move. And I don't know, like we could all be better. Me especially, like on the forecheck, because guy's just so slippery, man. You can't you can't put a stick on that guy. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, and like you pointed out earlier, it contributes to making Sully look a little bit worse than what he definitely is capable of. So it's sort of a situation where I feel like one problem fixes the other as well, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, but like you said, I think all things said, you guys are not in a bad place by any stretch of the imagination right now. You guys are certainly a team that is quality enough to be able to win this season. But there are going to be a lot of eyes on the five of you just because of the trade that Sully made. That's going to be something that's going to live in the back of his head, I'm sure, and in the minds of everybody that sort of evaluates you guys as you move through the season, from the sense of, you could have had Otto and instead you chose not to. And you, especially out of anybody, Paco, might sort of be under the microscope to that end because Sully chose getting you over getting Otto.
Hey, he chose me and Dal over Otto. But yeah, no,
True,
I
true,
see what you're
but
coming
you
from.
being there at the pick that he traded to is the reason why he was okay with moving on from Otto, and
Yeah,
not, feeling the need to take him. So, it does that play into your situation at all? Like, do you feel that pressure?
not really, to be honest with you. Um, I mean, I know we have two good defensemen and Drag who's like super capable of like helping out offensively as well. So I don't feel any pressure. Like I can send the puck to them and they're able to do good stuff with it. That was kind of like the whole plan, right? Having like four people that can do whatever they want with the puck. So I don't personally feel any pressure. Um, yeah, I mean the trade obviously it's a ballsy trade. Give that to Sully. I like it. Um, but yeah, no, I think it'll work out. I'm confident. I'm confident in the team.
I like it. I like it a lot, Paco. All right, closing thoughts on Boston, and then we'll get to New Jersey.
Paco's on it.
That is true. Paco is on it. Confirmed. All right, so let's get to New
Para's not
Jersey.
playing yet. Another guy.
Yep,
One of the.
that's true.
There it is.
Oh yeah,
When
yeah.
did he
We
get
got
in the game?
we got really good backups. I feel bad for not mentioning them, but they always show up and everything too. So shout out to all of them. Obviously, Para, Gregor's, Nova, like all three of those. Slugger even like you could put those on some teams. So I
Well,
mean
the
that's
interesting
like
thing about Para too is that Para, being such a versatile player, could be a starter in all three positions, and that's
exactly.
definitely something you have to watch out for, especially if there are more goalie troubles throughout the season. Para could be a prime target to be traded to somebody as a starting goalie. I could definitely see that happening. So,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah,
we good for New Jersey?
sure.
Yeah, Boston.
We just did Boston. Well, like,
I
are we
thought-
good to move to New Jersey?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This team going 1-3 is wild to me. I mean, just the week that they had after mercying you guys, Colorado. I mean, that was just kind of nuts to me.
Well,
But
we are a shit team, so it doesn't really mean much that they mercied us.
yeah, I think people what they're trying to do is play more on top of auto. Um, like it's working like a little bit. Like maybe they got unlucky in some games. But
Sorta.
like you can't really get on top of auto that well. So like, but I don't know. That's maybe contributed to why they had less success this week.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at Friday as an example, I think Otto had 10 points and they went 0-2 in
Yeah.
regulation in both games. So
Shutting down Otto is not the play.
Yeah,
The play is to, I don't know,
and I think
get on the other
I
guys.
think Austin pointed that out in chat. Winning 6-5 is not shutting down Otto when Otto gets 5 points. So
Yeah.
it's definitely not. That's not been the case. That's for sure. The fact that he's maintaining 3.7 points per game is ridiculous. He's not at 100% goal participation anymore. That unfortunately did end during the fourth game. So his 3-game streak of it was impressive, but unfortunately short-lived. So, but that said, he's still put up 19 goals so far this season, which is more than 2 other LHL teams combined so far, or sorry, separately. Combined all the players individually, but he's got more than Seattle does as a team, and he's got more than LA does as a team. So
Probably has more
he's-
shots too.
I don't think more shots, but it's close. You guys have 42. He has 38.
He is 4 shots away from our team's shot totals.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So yeah, he's been really fucking good. I would be shocked if he's not MVP this season, personally.
Oh yeah,
I he's
he's
gonna be
run away with that.
MVP. He's gonna lead the league in points and goals, all that jazz. So it's confirmed already. We're 7 games in. It's gonna take something drastic for that to not be the same anymore. But yeah, it definitely opens up some questions as to sort of what happened this week. And I personally think the biggest thing was the goaltending.
Mhm.
Narg in our game, the very first game they played this week against us, the 6-0 loss. Narg was phenomenal. He made a lot of amazing breakaway saves, a lot of really good saves in close. He, as we touched on earlier at the very start of this episode, he really kept the game from, or kept them with a significant lead early on in the game so they could keep building on it and get further and further ahead till it was, a mountain too big to climb. And when you look at Friday in comparison, it was not the same story for Narg. Narg had a 71% save rate after Tuesday's games, and in the 2 games on Friday, dropped all the way down from about 71 to just under 57%, which is a huge, huge drop. Obviously, small sample size, but still, he had some less than stellar games. I believe New Jersey got scored on 14 times in those 2 games on Friday.
6 and
6
8.
and 8 against. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if he had played well, that's a really hard hit to take on the save percentage. But I think that is definitely my biggest takeaway from their 2 games on Friday anyway. Obviously, not all of those goals against are always going to be on the goalie. Not trying to say that they are, but they would they're definitely going to need to see stronger performances out of Narg in tight situations like that for them to be able to keep it up, because if they continue having to run into this whole, we have to score 6 goals in a game or we're not going to win, it's going to be really, really tough for them.
Yeah, it's that to think how the other teams playing them have to think is we need
Yeah.
at least 6 goals to win this game.
Yeah. So I think if things stay the same, we're going to see a lot more high scoring contests between New Jersey and most other teams. I think we're going to see a lot of goals going both directions. So definitely fascinated to see how that pans out. But I think Narg is really going to be the X factor for this team to determine sort of what their level of success looks like. Because if Otto can get 5 points in a game and still lose, there's definitely some concerns there, right?
Yep, it happened twice. Same night. Oh
Yeah.
well.
Shout out to Ike, by the way. Playing
He's
pretty
getting
well.
better. Yep.
It's cool. Ike.
Which we all guessed. The guy who slipped in the draft. Sort of foolishly, I think. I mean, there's question marks with Ike, concerns, but I think he's playing well, and he would help almost any team in the league, except Colorado.
Yeah, I don't know about this team. Like, if there's any areas where you can improve. Like maybe defensively, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know what they could go for, but I think I noticed a couple times that Tidge and Austin. I don't know. There was like some defensive mishaps. I don't remember, but
Yeah. They could be a little tighter.
yeah, maybe it could
Tidge,
be.
another guy, didn't play, coming back.
Yeah, do
Probably
we see
struggling a
Lucic
little to get
in?
it.
Is that a possibility?
We could see the Lucic action, maybe. I don't know. Be interesting. I'm not really sure. We might see. I don't know. I can't imagine putting Otto on D as good as he is. I don't think that would be the play. He comes back far enough anyway.
Yeah,
He plays the full 200-foot game and all that.
I am a
reason to
fan
put
though
him-
of like what Dow said before, playing your best players on D. I think that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the
Makes
way
sense,
Otto
but
plays, he goes
Otto's
back
got to
there anyway.
have the puck and be up. Like he's.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have that, you're gonna need somebody really reliable playing forward who's gonna be playing D the whole game for him.
Yeah. Juice wants to mention the season 17. Was that Washington? That was fun. Good job, Juice. Imagine having a team with Juice, Otto, and
Otto
Kiwi
and Kiwi.
on. Oof.
Yeah, this is a team. If they just want a free cup, they'll just go and trade for Kiwi, and that's probably a doable thing. I don't think the league is quite as concerned about that as they should be. If like, oh, Kiwi's struggling, like if he gets on Otto's team, he's gonna put up 3 a game with him.
Don't do it, Sam. Don't do it.
Probably
Do you think
shouldn't
that's-
for
do
the
you
sake
think
of the
that's a
league.
trade both teams would make?
I don't know that Austin
Well,
would do it.
Because
Well, why would
Ike's
Austin
I
do
don't
not
know that Zam would
performing
do it.
poorly. I mean, Ike
No, he's
is
not.
closing in on 2 points a game here.
And
So
Otto, I think Ike's going to continue to improve. But that's the thing is, if the team's struggling, do you even if it's not Ike's fault, do you go and shake up the entire foundation of the team, the system of the team? Because we all know how Otto and Kiwi play together. We know it's frustrating to play against. It can be frustrating to play with, even. But if you want to kind of coast, you just let them do their thing. Kiwi is definitely the player that plays with Otto the best, except Guy. But I don't count
Yeah.
that as like a reasonable get.
I think that trade makes so much sense just also for LA, right? Because they need someone who's a little bit more like puck possession.
Yeah. Of course, I don't
Like
even know.
Ike
But like,
would
if
be
you're
that.
Austin, like I don't know, maybe you shouldn't trade Ike for Kiwi. Ike's doing well, and Ike's a
Yeah.
guy. If we do another season, you protect him for nothing. You protect him for a 3rd-round pick.
yep, and that's
So-
a forward you can really build around if you're Austin.
So really, that's a trade that Zam, if he's going to disregard this, even though he could turn the season around, if he's going to disregard it from the potential pairing of Otto and Kiwi again, which I'm thinking we probably see. I can't imagine the temptation's going to be too good. I'm putting it out there for the GMs and all the players to think about, and everybody who's lost to Kiwi and Otto, be it in season 19 or any of the tournaments we did afterwards.
Hey, that was
You
me.
know, yeah, you know what's coming.
Dial and Quacky are sweating now. Just with
Yeah, I know the
thought
Dyal
of
and
Otto
Paco
and
combo
Kiwi.
that we all think is unstoppable. Just wait till Kiwi gets united with Otto.
Yeah, it's definitely something I could see making sense. And like you said, I think it's personally, I don't think that trade gets made unless LA is basically out of it and Zam is trying to sort of figure out a way to set himself up well for the following season, like season
Yeah.
21.
Of course, I think if you make that trade now, I think Ike helps LA where Kiwi
Yeah, no, I could certainly
can't.
see it.
But I don't see. I think it's honestly, I don't think it's worth the gamble for Austin. Like you're hoping the Auto Kiwi works out, which it probably would. It would probably be good, but I don't think it's worth trading Ike while he's sort of on the up and he's got this value that no one else in the league really has. Even
Yeah,
Marchie, I
yeah.
don't think has the, because he's not going to be as consistent. He's not going to play as much. I think Ike is probably the most valuable trade piece in the whole league. So
As a
I
result of
I
that,
wouldn't
yeah.
trade him for Kiwi.
Yeah.
I would want something else, or with Kiwi even.
Yep. No, I can certainly
Like if
see
you're
that.
talking about giving it up, if you're talking about Zam setting him up for next season, if nothing happens and New Jersey doesn't think, or Austin doesn't think New Jersey can win it, what I would do at the deadline, and Zam's trying to build for the next season, if he wants to GM and do all that, is I would not be surprised to see Ike and Narg swap for PK and Kiwi.
Wow.
That's the swap I would imagine.
Auto Kiwi and PK.
See, I don't think LA should do that.
They
personally.
shouldn't. They should not. But that's what getting Ike. Like I said, I think Ike has so much value.
Yeah.
I think if you were to trade him, that's what you want. I don't think that trade should necessarily happen. I'm saying if you're trading Ike, that's what I want back.
Yeah, no,
And I
that's
don't see
fair.
them trading Ike.
Yeah.
Not anytime soon, at least.
It's definitely going to be one to watch. I know Austin, when he realized he was going to be drafting Otto, definitely sort of had that system in mind of having the Otto Kiwi pairing. So I'm sure it's something that he's sort of prepared for, or at least anticipated the potential of that coming to fruition. So definitely something for us to watch. But like you said, now's probably not the time. Even after a 3-game skid, I really don't think it's concerning enough to start doing that, especially when Ike has been able to start fitting into the team a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Austin that pointed out in chat he had 4 points in the first 3 games and then 8 points in the 4 games afterwards. So he's made a significant step up from where he was after the first couple of games and certainly getting his way into it. And I think the skill ceiling of what Ike provides is a little bit higher than what Kiwi can. I think Ike definitely has the better hands to work with there and can do a lot more with a puck individually. He's definitely more of that play style of a player there. So yeah, definitely one that we're going to need to watch closely. I could absolutely see the two of them be the sort of centerpieces for a trade at some point here during the season.
Yeah, and I don't want that trade to happen personally because we
You don't wanna
got
play
Dyal and
against it?
Clacky, we got Otto and Kiwi. We had these teams already. I just like seeing new combinations and new things working out. So I don't know. I wouldn't like to see that personally for that reason, but yeah.
Okay.
I'd like it if it looks like Colorado's about to run away with it, just to have a clash at the Titans. I don't know.
Hey, Boston's coming, Tony. Just you wait.
They could. A lot of good names on there. Just got to get to the level that we know they can.
All right. So should we move to predictions?
Sure. I've been doing this for almost 2 hours.
Hell yeah. All right. So, a quick recap on the predictions from last week. I went a stellar 3-5. So, round of applause for me. I'm really good at this. Our guests, represented only by Tidge so far, went 4-4 last week, as did Tony, predicting the Toronto turnaround. So, I believe you predicted them to win 3 of their 4 games last week.
No, I was a.
Or 2 of their 4.
I would have, but you wouldn't let me vote against my own team.
Okay, all right. So only 2.
So I got screwed. I
Yeah.
thought that New Jersey would split.
Yeah.
I still kind of think they should. I think New Jersey should have had them on that Friday game, honestly.
So yeah,
They didn't.
basically
fucked it.
so far I suck. And let me.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Horrible.
There we go. Refresh that so it actually fits a little bit better. Okay. So let's get right into it. So for those who don't know how we do this, we tend to just go through each of the individual games. You cannot vote on your own team's game as to whether or not you think that it's a game that you're going to win or lose, whatever. But you're able to pick any of the other games on the docket here. So we're going to start out with none other than Tony for game 1 of next week on Tuesday. It's going to be between New Jersey and LA. And this is the 1-0 game.
Yeah. You know, starting with me on this, feel bad. It's 2 teams, both sort of trying to come back. LA obviously a little more than the other, but I think New Jersey is going to take this one. And I don't think it's going to be 1-0 either.
Okay.
I think Ike's better, and I think Otto is going to keep it up.
You
and
think they're not going to be able
have
to
the
limit
answer.
Otto to 1 point again?
Not a chance. I think PK. This is probably going to be PK's first rough game of the season.
I certainly think that's reasonable. So, all right, Paco, your turn, buddy.
Man, I really just want to do the opposite of everything Tony does just to fuck with him. But no, I'm going to go with New Jersey here.
That's how you'd end up correct.
I'm going to go with New Jersey. I mean, they're good. They're a good team. And
despite
maybe PK can play really well. Maybe they figure some stuff out. But yeah, I think it's going to be New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of think the same. I'd really like to see LA sort of pick it back up, especially where, we talked to great length about the position they're in and sort of the difficulties that come with that at this point in the season. But I just don't see this being the game where they get that turnaround going. Unfortunately, that would probably drop them to 1-7, but I think they have some games here coming up the rest of this week that they are capable of winning. Paco. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them, seeing how they perform in that. So, Paco, we'll go back to you because I can't vote on this one. We've got Colorado and Toronto in what was a surprisingly close game last time, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising. I mean, I don't know. Toronto's won 4 in a row, right? So I don't know. I think. Man, I don't know. Colorado just really fucks my team. I'm gonna go with Colorado on this one. Sorry, Toronto people.
Owl
Yeah.
bringing up a good point that they will have Jabba here for this one, where they didn't for the last game that they took us to OT for. So
But Austin pointed out earlier that game you guys played against Toronto, Marchie had like 200 ping and didn't
He
tell his
did.
team because he's
He
a
did.
rat and didn't want to get subbed out.
Yep. That
So
is
they
the
basically were down a guy for that game because see there's the kind of side of Marchie people don't really see.
yep.
Of people, oh, Marchie fell to them. Marchie does some questionable things to your team, even though when I think the good outweighs the bad. But in a game like that, you're basically playing 4v5 because well, you can't play with ping that high.
Yeah, I
Not
mean
when
they
you're
got
not used to
Quacky on
it.
their team too, so they're always playing
Yeah.
45, right, Quacky?
It's Quacky
Can't
listening.
defend himself here. Let's go.
Yeah. So
So you going with Colorado as well then?
I'm going with Colorado. High as I am on Toronto. Don't like their chances against Colorado here. Not well, Guy's still playing. I think Guy is going to have a much better. I don't think Guy was happy with his last game against Toronto. I think he's going to give them trouble.
All right, so LA and Boston. I'll pick this one up. So this one was a 2-1 game. One of their one of LA's 5 one-game losses so far this season. But I do think they're going to come out on top this time. I think they're sorry, Paco. I think they're going to be
Wow.
able to squeeze this one out. I'm expecting another close game. LA just seems like the type of team to sort of play to the level of their opponents, so to speak. So I think in a lot of these games, you're going to see them keep it close even when they win. So I'm thinking a 1 or 2 goal game in their favor, 4-2, 3-2, something like that. But yeah, I do think this is where LA starts to pick it up.
First game wasn't close, by the way. It was 2-1, but it wasn't close. Just want to
Hey,
put that out there.
all that matters is if PK's keeping those pucks out of the net.
Yeah, I think this week, much like I had Toronto and New Jersey last week, I imagine LA and Boston will split these 2 games because they play again on Friday, and I'm not sure which one I believe either team will win. That's just kind of my hunch. I'm gonna go LA on this first one, but it's a toss-up, and you could already mark me in on the second one. Honestly, that's
Yeah,
gonna be
so
Boston on the next.
I was gonna say that I think, or I feel the same way for the Friday game, and because a lot of these are rematches between the Tuesday games and the Friday games, which I hate when this happens, but unfortunately it's gonna keep happening.
I
Yeah,
think we should go back to one game day, or one game days on game days.
No,
Maybe 3.
no,
Yeah, it's
2, no, 2.
the matchups are so meaningless now. Matchups used to have some importance to it. It used to be cool. It's like, oh, this is the day we're playing Colorado. This is the big day. And now it's like, I don't know, we got one game, probably lose. We'll win the next one though. It's like, I
See,
don't know.
I personally, all right, let's get into this afterwards because this is
Yeah,
going to take away
yeah.
from the predictions. But this is
Yeah.
a topic I want to continue when we're done with this. So, but anyway, I feel the same way. I think they're going to wind up splitting the games here. I'll go with you. We'll, both feel comfortable, I suppose, with Boston on Friday and LA on Tuesday. But it's going to be a toss-up. I think they'll split the games.
Yeah, Boston could very easily handle them on Tuesday, but I don't know. I think I'm gambling on the split.
All right, Paco, it's you and I for this one. Toronto and Seattle. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go with Team Chaos over here. Let's go Toronto. I just think this is like the anti-teams, the structure versus the no structure. We're just going at it. I'm gonna go with Chaos though. I like it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I could definitely see that. I this
And
one
Eric's in that.
see this one is tough because either I have to say
Eric's in
that either I have to say that Chaos beats the structure of these experienced veterans that are some of the best players to have played the game, or the structure weighs out and winds up overtaking them. Because I feel like in general, better structure is better than no structure or limited structure.
So there's a structure to Toronto. It's just you don't see it. They know what they're doing.
Fair
They
enough,
get
but
it.
you understand what I mean. I
Yeah.
tend to side with what would be a more, we'll say meta team
Conventional.
style, a more conventional team style. I think in general those will win more games than they'll lose against teams that don't play that. Um, but I do think Toronto is going to wind up taking this one along with Paco. I think they're on a good run of form at the moment, and I I think it's going to be another split because these two teams play on Friday, and I'll get into your prediction for that in a second. So I'm going to say Seattle's going to take the Friday game, especially when they have Goose there as opposed to Eric. I think that'll make a difference. But as of right now, I think Toronto's going to maintain the high scoring form that they're in at the moment.
Yeah, I also agree with the Seattle on the Friday just because I think Goose plays a big factor. He like calms down the team a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, so this is only me because it's the two of you playing against each other. So Seattle versus Boston. You guys have played against each other once so far, and that was, in my opinion, Seattle's best game of the season so far. I'm not sure how you felt about that one, Tony
Yeah,
or
that's
Paco.
factual.
But it was a very clean game across the board, I think, from Seattle. They played very well defensively, had very solid goaltending, and were able to actually generate a sufficient amount of offense, which is something they've struggled with for a lot of the other games. However, I do think Boston is going to come out on top in this one. I think sort of they're like you pointed out, Paco, both of these teams are teams that are going to play better together the longer that longer that the season goes. And I think at the current point in time, Boston is a little bit farther ahead in terms of sort of where they're at as a team than where I think Seattle is. I think Seattle needs a little bit more out of some of their veterans like DMB and whatnot, and needs a little more oomph from them first before we can really start to see them be a favorite in a number of these a number of these matchups. So
Crab's pissed.
yeah, he's got his opinions, and he's free to prove me wrong.
Dragon Dalf are probably going to score a shitload against there. They're going to have their game of the year of the career.
Yeah, it's Eric versus his real life buddies in Dragon Delph, so this is going to be an interesting one. Definitely one to watch for sure. I'm expecting a lot of trash talk in that game. Or
they always mentioned Eric. I never knew why, so now I know that.
No, yeah, they're
know
buddies.
each other. All right.
They all went to did they all? Yeah, they all went to the same college. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Final game of the night, which is also a rematch for Friday. So I'll let you guys make predictions for both here. So we've got Colorado and New Jersey in the Mercy Grudge match.
I'll let Paco go first on this one.
Oh man, how do you? It's a Mercy in the previous ones. How do you not say New Jersey? But also, Colorado's pretty good, so I don't know. How do you get Mercy? Man, I should have watched that.
Arc was very, very good.
All right, I'm gonna say I've been liking how Ski's been playing, so I think I'm gonna go with Colorado just because I like your team, and just because even though you lost 6-0, you guys are gonna bring it back.
Listen up, Paco. Regardless of my next pick here, I gotta tell you might like a goalie, think he's hot. Does not matter when Otto's coming to town. He doesn't shoot the puck. He just puts it in the net. And there's no saving that. And they don't save it for the most part. That's why he has fucking 4 a game, and he scored 10 points in 2 games that he lost. So
this is my wild pick, okay?
I want to. This one's tough because like New Jersey absolutely handled them and then has struggled since. But I picked Colorado last time and they burned me. So... I'm not doing it again. I'm picking New Jersey for this one.
Okay.
I think they get him again. Probably not a Mercy, but I think Otto does damage that even Guy can't stop.
What about the rematch on Friday, which as I look at it, these are completely wrong. I gotta fix these.
You screwed it?
Yeah, I frigged
what
it
a
up again.
friggin' ape. Yeah. Just like Marchie.
But while I'm fixing this here, what do you guys think for the Friday rematch?
I'm doubling down, going Colorado again, just because I'm feeling lucky. That's the only reason.
Not. I'm going... switch mine around. Put me Colorado Tuesday and New Jersey Friday.
Okay, so you're...
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, never mind. God, that's gonna kill me. That's gonna come back and kill me.
Backing out on your original prediction there.
I didn't know they played each other again, and I imagine a split happens. I imagine a split happens again, and I don't trust New Jersey to win the second one.
Mm-hmm.
or the first one, as much as I trust them to win the second. Whereas I imagine Colorado's gonna come to play a little harder.
That's fair.
But New Jersey's gonna come right back, just give it their best. Probably with Kiwi on the team on Friday, and PK, and Lalu. Why not? Full team switch,
not?
except Otto's there.
All right, so we've only got 3 games left because of all the rematches going on here, which I hate, but it is what it is. So let's start with you, Paco. We've got LA versus Seattle.
Yeah, these guys played yesterday. I kind of liked how Seattle played. Like LA wasn't getting many chances until the very end, so I think pretty much the same thing will happen unless a trade happens, which then my predictions get fucked. But I'm gonna go with Seattle on this.
Okay. So I did pick Seattle for the early game on Friday here over Toronto to come back. However, I don't think Seattle is going to take both games today. I think LA is going to show up, especially after their loss, knowing that they need a win tonight to maintain their competitiveness for the season. I think LA is going to come out guns blazing, and Lalu is going to show us what he's capable of.
Yeah, Lalu is capable.
He is
We
capable
only played New
of.
Jersey once. We're not going to play them for a bit, I guess.
I think it's the week afterwards. You guys play them twice.
No,
So,
play 4 times in the week.
all right. Tony, you're the only one who can vote on this, as Paco and I are going head to head, 1v1.
1, 2, 3, 4 guys in it. I picked the guy team. If Guy's playing, I'm predicting Colorado.
Well, if Guy plays all 4 games that week, he has 1 game left for the rest of the season.
I imagine he sits the New Jersey game because you think it's an easy win.
I can't be giving up our strategies this early. Come on.
Hey, we all get to pick this one too.
We do all get to pick this one. It's always nice when all of us get to actually vote on a game together. I guess I'll start this time. So I think New Jersey's coming back with a vengeance. Otto has clearly shown that even though they're losing these games against Toronto, Otto has shown that he can score on Bert as much as he needs to. So I definitely think that's going to continue, and I think we're going to see Otto feast again on Toronto, and I'm expecting a better performance out of Narg and out of New Jersey defensively as a whole to not get caught out as much and not be giving up 8 goals this time. I think it'll be another high-scoring affair, relatively speaking, but I do believe that Otto will be able to push them to victory this time.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Chaos only lasts for a certain amount of time, and you gotta switch it up. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with New Jersey as well. They're just too good to not beat this team. I don't know.
Yeah, Toronto plays them extremely well, though. I'm gonna go against you bastards. I'm gonna pick Toronto for this one to keep their good play against New Jersey. Unless Kiwi and PK are on the team, then this one doesn't count.
Yeah, I if we see a trade like that, I don't think it comes for another couple weeks. So
no.
Okay,
I'm just saying that's the trade. That's the trade happening this season, and Zam's gonna protect Ike into next season. He's gonna try to get Marchie too. I guess he can't. He can't protect them both. They were drafted in the same round.
So that has all of our predictions in. I do want to add one little part to this segment that we haven't been doing recently. I'm going to ask each of you guys for a game of the week for this upcoming week. So, Tony, I'm going to start with you. What do you think the game of the week is going to be? Most exciting game or most
First
close
one.
game?
I don't know about close. Best one. Best game is going to be that rematch the Tuesday, the rematch of the last week between Colorado and New Jersey. I don't
Paco, how
think
about
you guys took too kindly to that loss.
No, we definitely did not.
I could go with that. Like I kind of agree with that one, but just to switch it up, I think LA versus Boston just has a lot of playoff implications. Both of the games. But
Definitely. It's big for LA maintaining their chance of getting back to a playoff spot,
yeah,
and big for Boston and their opportunity to sort of push ahead of the bottom 2 seeds and
exactly.
maintain an advantage there. So
Because if we win that one, if Boston wins that, then we pull a little bit ahead of LA. But LA wins that, then we're pretty close. So I think that one's a big one for playoff implications. I'm gonna go with that.
Okay. Yeah, my pick was actually going to be the same thing as you, Paco. I was going to say the LA Boston game. You could pick either the Friday or Tuesday, doesn't really matter. I think both of them, maybe together, are really going to be the games to watch this season. It's definitely two teams that are going to be vying for a playoff spot, and potentially an early round playoff matchup too, we could see. So who knows? So that and the obviously Colorado New Jersey games. I know Tony, you mentioned that Tuesday one, but I think the Friday one could be just as good. We could be in for some pretty back and forth games in that series if we're able to figure out Narg. So
Hell yeah.
okay. So that goes through everything that we wanted to chat about. Real quick, I will run down how things went in the Sunday night hockey. So far we've got Manitoba leading the pack at 1-1-0-0. So that's one regulation win, one overtime win, and 0 losses. So they're in first. Scranton coming in second with an overtime win and a regulation loss. And then San Diego technically tied for second, but I imagine with tiebreakers is going to be third. And they're currently sitting at a record of 2 overtime losses and 0 wins or regulation losses. So Manitoba looking strong on the first day. They've been sort of brought forward by the combination of Payne and G. Lores. Two of them together have scored a combined 10 points, which is pretty much as much as the rest of the top performers combined. There has not been an incredible amount of scoring so far in the Sunday Night League. So I'm personally interested to see how things play out there. We've got a number of players like Payne, like Jeet, like Doc, who and Para, who all of us have referenced throughout the course of this episode about people that could start at an LHL level and perform. So I'm definitely interested to see how they do and how much of a case they can sort of make for themselves to earn more starting time as a result of their performances down here. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely very interested in seeing how that shakes out. But any thoughts from either of you guys on Sunday Night League so far?
I love Payne's team. Let's go Manitoba. That's all.
Yeah. I like Payne's team a lot. You gotta hope that Payne and Jeet keep that scoring going. I like other players like Ghost and Doc, but they're not like big scorers. So yeah,
Yeah, I think Jeet is one of Jeet and maybe
yeah.
Gouch, you could argue, are probably the only real true goal
They
scorers.
got like Para and Lucic can do it. They're
Right,
on
but they don't. I mean, Lucic is tough to determine, right? I don't think we've seen any games from him yet so
no, he
far.
did show up.
Yeah, he didn't show up. So Lucic obviously has the potential given just how good of an LHL player he was in the past. Obviously, there's always concern that, he's going to just pop off and be incredible. But in terms of who's performing right now, it's mostly Jeet. So Para has some ability to score. Stamkos has some ability to score too. But I think Jeet's probably one of the only ones that I'd consider to be a true, goal scorer. That's his prototype of a player that he is. So
We
I
might
think,
need to add a day to this thing. Once a week, and the backups aren't playing a whole lot in LHL right now.
yeah, I think they're,
Maybe we should look into adding a Wednesday, tack one on. These rosters are pretty big.
yeah, the rosters are fleshed out
But I
well
mean, like a
enough.
lot of these guys, that Mako guy brought his friends in. Each team has like two of those guys, and I don't see.
That's,
It doesn't look like
yeah,
any of them
that's
showed
that's what
up.
I was gonna say is a lot of these rosters are fairly deep, but at the same time, there's at least a couple people on each team that I don't think are really gonna be there.
Yeah.
Maybe Scranton a little bit less so than either San Diego or Manitoba, who each have like 2 or 3 players that I've never even heard of before. Um, Whereas I think Scranton has more, like a lot more veteran players actually, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, Gouch got his old
Um,
buddies. He got Tim and Supa or
yeah,
Super.
yeah. It's like the Seattle of the Sunday Night League. They got
Yeah.
all the
Oh.
the old vets coming back. But yeah, so Manitoba looking like the early favorite. Jeet and Payne looking like a pretty dynamic duo to contend with. The goalie stats are present, but it looks like there wasn't a ton of
It looks
Yeah.
like Manitoba gave up 3.5 shots.
Yeah, they gave up a
Game.
total
That's
of
good
7
stuff.
shots in their 2 games, which is pretty insane.
Averaging 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best team. What
They
are you
have
gonna do?
Gregors on D. That is
It was a
insane.
weird. I guess he requested a trade after the draft, and he got swapped for Ace.
He's really good. It's like LHL caliber D man right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy who I thought was going to be a little closer to a starting spot this season. Buried in the depth.
All right, so
Yeah.
this kind of applies to both leagues, to some extent anyway, but we started to talk about before or while we were doing the predictions whether or not to maintain 2 days a week or 2 games on each game night per week. Tony, I know you have some fairly strong feelings about that. Do you want to sort of emphasize what some of those are and why you
About
think things should potentially be different about
2
like the
or
way the
3
way
game
we
days.
schedule? Well, either, yeah, 2 or 3 game
Yeah.
days, 1 or 2 games a night, any of that.
So, well, it's funny because I was really big on switching, cutting down a game day. I've always been. I always thought 3 was a little too many because I kind of, you get sick of it, and sometimes it feels like it's a waste of a day when you have LHL on the day because then even though it's only a brief amount of time, you are pretty much building your night around having to make the game, and that can kind of suck. So doing that 3 times was something I wanted to cut back to 2, but by cutting back down to 2 to make sure you have enough, you really have to maintain the 2 game days a night, or the 2 games on a game day each night. However the hell you're supposed to say that. And but now that we're kind of doing it, as much as I like it, and I like playing 2 a night. Like I think it's good, and I think it more justifies the getting on and blocking out the your time if you're getting on for more than 1 game. But at the same time, now that we're doing it again, and I don't remember how I felt in season 19 about it, but now that we're doing it, it makes me kind of wish it was only the 1. It makes me feel like the games are less meaningful. That there isn't a lot of prep, going into the 1 game and being ready for a certain team. You kind of every day feels the same to me, and it doesn't really matter who we're playing against. And I'd bet a lot of players probably feel that way too, even though we shouldn't. You should be really focused on who you're playing against to make sure you play the best. But yeah, I'm not right now, early on in the season, I'm really not digging it.
Yeah. For me, it kind of feels like a little bit like exhausting in a way to have 2 games on the same day, because you got to play like maybe a couple scrims before.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to play your games, and then maybe like one after. Probably not, but it's just like a lot. That's kind of how I felt in season 19 a little bit towards the end, especially. I feel like that was the dagger in the LHL.
Yeah.
Taking like the hiatus, like everyone was kind of just done with it at that point. But also the stream, like if you have like 2 games playing at the same time, obviously you can only stream 1, right?
Yeah,
I know
we get a quarter of our season is being streamed right now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty sad.
So
And
yeah, that's like
that
another
is
thing.
something that sucks, losing. And that was a problem with season 19. That's why a lot of season 19 we don't have recordings of.
Yeah.
And this is going to be we have recordings of every game in season 20, which is going to be fine. And I mean, up on YouTube, we obviously had in game, we had stats for every game played in season 19. But in terms of being able to go see it easily, it's not really there.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into the folder and download it, but it's a bit of a hassle rather than just going on the YouTube channel and being able to see all 3 games and jump to any point you want to, rather than use the terrible in-game viewer. Horrible, horrible. Glad it exists, but
Can barely rewind for like
Yeah.
1 second or something.
So I personally like the 2 games a night, and the big thing for me is because like you said, Tony, I'm one of the people that will dedicate and build my night around the fact that I have LHL games. So I'll make sure I have time to like solo practice for 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll make sure I have time for scrims, and I'll make sure I'm not like going out anywhere and doing anything before the game so that I can like get into the right, mindset, mentality, be ready and whatnot. I definitely build my day around it, and having more than 1 game to play is a lot easier to justify that level of effort or preparation. And I also like playing 2 games a day because when you play 1 game and you lose, especially when it's a bad loss, most of the time for me, my immediate response is I want to get back on the ice and play again. I want to get back on the
Yeah.
ice, play again, and get that bad taste out of my mouth. And I hate having to get off for the night after a shitty loss like that and just have to dwell on it
Yeah, of course
and
you're not in a
think
position
about
to have
that.
lost 2 in a single night yet.
No, not yet, but I mean, I'm sure it'll happen, right? It happened in season 19. It happens to everybody. You have a bad night,
Yeah.
you lose both games, and obviously that fucking sucks. Like that is really shitty. But
That's kind of a problem where like LA is probably run into now. Like if we were only doing 1 game a night, they probably wouldn't be in as bad a shape. Seattle might be a team I think we've only won the second games of the night. I think those are when. No, that's not true. We played Boston. I guess last week though we won the second game both times.
yeah,
So like for us, we could like our record. If we, it might not be looking as good if we only played the 1 a night. It
Mhm.
kind of benefits our team, I guess. If you look at it like that, and like who knows though? Like you have no idea what would happen in that
it's definitely something we're gonna have to
instance.
pull people on at the end of the season because moving to multiple games in one night was a really popular idea when that was first presented for season
Yeah.
18 or 19, whenever it was that we first integrated that. So it was definitely a thing a lot of people wanted to see, and I think for obvious reasons. So I'm expecting that the majority of people are probably still going to be in favor of it, but it's something we'll have to check in on at the end of the season. Multiple game
Yeah,
days. How do you feel about it, both of you? Like having 3 game days versus 2.
I used to hate. Like I said, I used to like hate that, and I wanted to play less and kind of the days. But now that we're in the season and doing it, honestly, I can't wait for LHL now. Maybe it's just kind of the whatever the honeymoon phase I have in the LHL back, but like right after on Friday the games ended and I was like, I can't believe I have to wait till Tuesday. This sucks. Like that never used to happen. Never
What about
used
you,
to feel
Paco?
that in LHL.
So I think if we're doing 2 games a night, wait, we did that in season 19, right? 2
Yeah.
games a night and then 3
Well,
game days.
Yep.
Yes.
That
Now,
was
might have been
probably
it.
that was exhausting for sure for me at least. I don't
4
know.
days, 1 game.
Yeah, it felt like my life was
Actually,
literally LHL. So
in season 19, one of the days only had 1 game. I think
Yeah, it was like the
Sundays.
final, or sorry, it was every Sunday I think was 1 game, and then Tuesdays
Yeah.
and Thursdays you'd play 2. That is correct.
yeah, I say just like if it's gonna be 2 games a night, I kind of like it right now, but the same reasons as Tony.
Yeah.
Like it's not like too much, and you kind of like look forward to it. Like once you're, like
Yeah, so
once
I don't know what to think. Like maybe we go 3 days and one of them you play twice. Like on a Friday you play 2 games. You know, I'm not 100% what the best course of action would be, but like I mean, we could do anything. We could do whatever works, whatever people
Yeah,
want.
because it looks like BG's suggesting kind of what you're saying there. Do like, Tuesdays would be 2 games, Friday would be 1 game type thing,
Yeah.
something along those lines, which could potentially work out for more of a spectator experience too, because then on Friday
I'm just watching games,
you get all
honestly.
3 games streamed on a Friday, if that were to happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not something we're going to change during the season, but yeah, it's definitely something to consider, and we'll weigh all those options once the season is over and everybody has a sort of more firm opinion on this, because this only playing 2 days of LHL is completely new. Every other season we played a minimum of 3. So this is a big difference for what we're used to. And I think our opinions are going to be a lot different right now, where we're still kind of fresh coming back, than they will be at the end of the season once we've got 3 months of this under our belt again and are really back into the swing of things. Our opinions are probably going to change for at least a number of people. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I like the stream. I think like the streaming is the big one for me personally. Like I always was a fan of just watching the games.
Well,
Yeah.
Like
it was
after I was done with it.
especially fun when you had somebody like Para as an example, who,
Right.
for those who remember, used to put in a fuckload of effort into his
Mhm.
games. He'd have a lot of like transition, like animations and stuff, and
Good caster too.
yep, put a lot of effort into casting. You had guys like Dalfan that first figured out how to do like in-game replays of stuff using, I think, Shadow Player or whatever, so that he
As
could
wonky as it could be, it was cool.
yeah, it was cool to see an in-game replay like immediately after a goal is scored, especially if you miss it. Because like, how many times do you have a stream up and you miss a goal and you're like, oh, what happened? and
Yeah.
then you can play it back. And then Para has the shot counters and stuff on there, and Winter's casts tend to be amazing. He's a fantastic broadcaster and color commentary type guy. So there's a lot of great streamers that we've had the pleasure of enjoying over
PBBM.
the PBBM was awesome too
Vector.
for the short-lived time that he was there. Yeah, Vector's another one. You got to shout him out. He streamed
DCat.
so many games. Yeah,
Yeah.
DCat streamed. Yep, DCat streamed.
He streamed my first 3 LHL games. I had
Yep.
a hat trick, and he did not say my name once. That was hell of a debut.
So
in fact, he called out the wrong color on one of them. We were on blue, and he said red team scored.
I definitely
Miss him though. He's a good guy.
I definitely miss having a lot of those for sure, and it's a lot of fun to watch those. So hopefully, as we build things back up, we can sort of get back to some of that. But we're really, because of where we're
Barely
at
have
right
players.
now
How are we
with
going to get streamers?
exactly with
Couldn't
the
get streamers
community
when
and
we
the
had
LHL.
150 signups.
Yeah, with the community in LHL at the point that it's at right now, we're working with sort of the bare bones. Bare
Unless
minimum
Para wants to
here.
start streaming because they refuse to play him.
Yeah, so
That bastard refuses to play him. Probably the first time Sully's been called a bastard ever at any point in his fucking life.
No, Sully is a known bastard.
Yeah, we call him that every single game we do.
Oh, well, that's
probably why
good.
his save percentage is low. I don't know. Maybe we're a few players showing him.
He was really looking forward to the season until he got there. Found out about Paco.
Anyway, I did miss a couple more comments here in the chat. Going back to our previous conversation about number of game days, looks like we got some people that want multiple game days for Sunday Night Hockey. I don't know if that's going to change during the season, to be honest with you.
Honestly, it wouldn't in LHL. It could in Sunday Night Hockey.
Yeah, you could probably do it. It's still early enough and whatnot that you could mess with that. And I know Migo's also complaining that it's an odd number of teams.
At least everybody the main thing is everybody gets to play each other an even number of times.
Yeah, that's the bigger thing.
Everybody can play twice a night, and you kind of play everybody. That's the benefit with 3 that you wouldn't have with 4.
And my thing with
we don't have the numbers for 4, honestly.
No, we don't. And my thing with like a number of teams is not so much about it being even or odd. Like obviously, odd number of teams makes it a little bit harder to schedule things, so that's definitely a frustration. But with my concern with having that few teams is that there's such little variety between the games because you're playing the same people over and over again. That to me gets a lot more boring as a result. So
if the depth guys were at least there, you'd see different lineups game to game because everybody plays in that league. Yeah. So I had a nice. Were you there when? You must have been there when I was talking to Iskin about that. Maybe not Paco last night.
I don't think
I talked about Sunday Night Hockey. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was talking to Iskin about Sunday Night Hockey, and I was sort of explaining to him because Iskin was kind of talking about putting in the effort, and he's like, I wasn't sure. He was like, he said, watching you guys on Colorado sort of demoralized him because he's like, oh my god, these guys are good. Like I'm not gonna hit that. And I was telling him how it really just takes a little bit of solo practice to kind of get in the swing of things. Like if you just get the handles yourself, like he's concerned about game practice, and then I was telling him, well, if you're concerned about that, you got Sunday Night Hockey you can play in. And he was like, what is that? I don't know. I think he might be on a roster, but
he's on Manitoba.
Yeah, he didn't know he had no idea that the league was a thing, and I was telling him about it, and I was describing that. I was like, everybody plays, everybody makes playoffs, all these things. He goes, oh, does everybody win too? So I don't know how thrilled he was about that, but I kind of think the league works for what it is.
Iskin's a pretty competitive guy, and with where he used to be in the community in terms of quality of player is certainly something that would have been well above an RSL level player. He was one of the better LHLers at the time many years ago. So I'm sure there's still an aspect of sort of that he sees in himself and sort of expects of himself, and coming down from that is definitely going to be something that requires a certain level of acceptance for him. But I do think it would do him well even to just get back into playing the game, which is something that he really hasn't been doing that much.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing him in any pubs or any
hey,
pub
we did a little bit of
stars or
night
solo
crew
practicing or anything.
We were shooting around a little bit, but that's basically it.
You just need more consistency with that, and that's kind of the thing with HQM is it's like when you've played it enough, you can come back after a sort of hiatus away and be able to still perform, but you still have to get to that level before you leave. And in Iskin's case, he was gone for like 5 years. Like not just two like the rest of us, but 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, we
So
were gone for 2 years.
it is
We didn't play for 2 years.
is a really long time that Iskin was gone for, and at least the rest of us, even though we weren't playing league games, there were tournaments in that time. People were still playing captains games, pickup games. It was still happening to some extent. Iskin had none of that in the last
Yeah.
6 years. So climbing back that mountain
He might as well
is
be a new guy, as good as he
yeah,
was 6 years ago.
it's tough. It's tough. He possesses the knowledge that a new guy doesn't have, but he's got to completely relearn how to do a lot of the basic things in the game that he probably used to take for granted. And Iskin came from a world where LHL was 4v4, and that was what we played. And 5v5 is completely new to him. It's the way it's played is very different. The way to approach it is very different. Having two defensemen on a team is a very different concept to him. So having to relearn how the game is played in addition is, something else that you really have to factor in. So um, I'll be watching his situation very closely. Obviously, he's my teammate, so I want to see him succeed. But I think if he really is willing to dedicate himself to it more, that he could be a very legitimately talented and uh, proficient regular LHL starter for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, he should take these next couple of months practice. Like he could get to it.
He's
He could
certainly
push for a
smart enough to
spot.
do it.
Yeah,
You
it'd
can
be
tell that he still has it a little bit, like the
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
only problem is he's gotta, and like at the end of the day, like does he even give a shit enough but he would have to put in a lot of solo practice, a lot of work for 2
Yeah.
months.
That's the biggest thing, right? He probably
Yeah,
doesn't
it's like
care
it's like
about
yeah, you
2
got
months.
it's like hey, you got to play for 2 months and then maybe you'll be good enough, get that start. It's kind of hard selling point,
All right,
which
so
is
while I
rough.
pose this to the two of you, chat, if you guys have any other final questions, please go ahead and post them now for us to touch on. But we'll start with you, Paco. Anything else that we didn't get to regarding this past week or this upcoming week?
No, nothing. I just want to say to both of you, good job on the season. Good stuff.
Thank you, thank you.
I know the stats and everything. Like that's actually tough, and I don't know how you do it, but you do
Yeah,
it
you've
pretty
had the
well.
Three-man
pleasure
job.
of watching us do it. For those who don't know, it's
Yeah.
been a joint effort between Tony, Cap, and I, and we typically get in usually the Colorado Rage Discord channel, and we like stream ourselves doing the stats. Not the most exciting thing in the world, but if you're ever curious about sort of what it looks like and the thought process we go through, we do stream that. So as boring as it is, worth checking out if you're somebody like Paco and doesn't really know what goes on there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
It
basically it.
friggin' sucks.
Yeah, it kind of blows.
Oh well. Oh well.
I'm glad it's back though, and I'm glad that there's a Sunday night hockey.
That's the
as
difference
well.
between
I think that-
LHL and anything else. Is just the stats, the work, the hard work that goes into
Yeah.
the stats from Dial.
It's a lot. So you guys do good stuff.
All right, I'll pose the same question to you, Tony. Well, Jack gets one final chance to get some questions in. So,
Yep. Anything
anything that
missed
we
and
didn't
all
touch
that?
on, or even the conversations we had at the end here?
Oh, I don't know. We kind of kept that going for a while on all kinds of whatever. Paco, what's the first big trade coming? What do you think?
First big trade.
Yeah, who's making it? Who's making the big one?
Ooh. I feel
Or
like
first
Tony's
trade,
gonna,
honestly.
I feel like you're gonna trade yourself off Seattle, Tony.
Yeah,
to
am I the
team.
GM now? I wouldn't even trade myself off. By the way, I'd as much as I think I'm the biggest problem on Seattle. Is I don't want
I'm
to
gonna
play on any of
say-
these other loser teams. I hate
It-
them all, every single one of them, and the GMs. I hate them too.
All right, you'll
Oh,
be
you know who
welcome
you
to
are.
Boston though.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I was talking to
think
Sully, and not the other GMs.
Big BG might be traded soon. That's my hot take.
Whoa! BG.
Actually, no. Maybe I'm gonna say BG.
Is Crab in
Kiwi.
that dire need for a bag of pucks?
I'm
No.
gonna say BG to Kiwi are my two picks to be traded soon. So Yeah.
for each other. Perfect.
Yeah. 1 for 1 right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say any specific players, but I do think one of Seattle or LA is going to be involved in the first trade, if not both of them.
Ooh. Riveting stuff here. But she was playing. Fuck.
All right, so it doesn't look like we have any other questions from the chat, so we're going to call it a wrap here, guys. We will see
Yeah,
you
thanks a lot.
guys. Yep, thanks a lot for tuning in. We had 20, I think 23 or 24 viewers at one point in time here.
Cool.
So yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. It's a lot of fun doing these live and being able to interact with you guys in the chat. So as always, please post anything in chat you want us to talk about, any
Or
topics
ask
that we
us
didn't get
over the
to,
next week.
or questions you want us to get to. We're always happy to chat about any of it. For the record, with the guests, just to clarify this, because I've had a lot of people asking me recently who can be a guest on. So the current plan is we're not going to do any GMs right now. We might do some GMs later in the season, but for the time being, no GMs as guests. We're also going to avoid anybody that is currently on one of our two teams. So assuming we both stay on Seattle and Colorado respectively, we will not be bringing on other Colorado or Seattle players.
I really
So-
want
Elliot would-
Quacky here, though.
Oh my
Look,
god, you better talk to Quacky
Look,
about
yeah,
this.
I would have a lot of fun with that. I'm not gonna lie, but we wanna try and make sure we get a good sort of view on the whole league in each of
Not
these
just
episodes.
bad mouthing each individual player down the list of
Yeah.
each team.
Yeah, so it's nice to have perspective of somebody on a third team every single time. Plus, it means that when we get to the predictions, there aren't going to be any games that none of us can predict, because that's never
Yeah.
fun. So,
Oh yeah, that would suck. Run into a Colorado Seattle game, and be like, well, we can't guess this one.
yep. So yeah, so that's the plan. I think that's just about it. We're gonna try to get into a regular schedule for Saturday evenings, probably around 8 p.m., 9 p.m., something like that. I think I have it currently set at 8, but I will announce if that's not going to be the case. We do have I think it's a server group in Discord now, Tony, right?
Yeah, Faceoff.
So when we announce when the next streams are going to be and whatnot, we will be tagging at Faceoff instead of at everyone to announce those. If you want to be included in that tag, please let Tony or I know so we can assign you to that server group. Beyond that, obviously you won't be seeing all of the announcements for the upcoming streams. So anyway, I think that's finally actually everything. So again, thank you everybody. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Paco.
Paco. It was great to have you on, buddy.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Love Paco.
You represented Boston well.
I hope I did.
Yeah.
And with that, we will see you guys in 1 week. Good luck in the games this week, everybody.
Yeah, except Paco. I think plays me.